Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon Al-Cohen from Ohio. I'm basically going to, I think I'll kickstart it a little earlier today. We got nice, crispy and cold over here. Since I'm kind of ready to go, what I'll do is I'll give you some testimonies and I'll give you something that will be great for your health to learn, and then I'll follow that through with the rest of the lecture. So those of you that are in the room, welcome. And Rabbi Kefa, do you want to fire up your recording as well? Yeah, kick it off so we can start recording in case, if I have any problems. Great. Okay, down for that. Okay, so let me begin by being very, forthright and, speaking to the family, the house of Israel, those of you that are in here that have known me for the past, maybe some of you have known me for over 10 years. Some of you are with me for over 10 years. Rabbi Zakaria has probably been with us the longest. I think Rabbi Zakaria has been with us, give it maybe 14, 15 years. He's been with us. And Rabbi Kefa is probably the next one in the list, and then so on and so forth. So those of you who've known me, we've gone through a number of changes. We have, gone through a number of ways that we apply the Torah in our lives and how we do it. And we have, let me be honest with you, I do not know a single person in this group that is with us that did not receive blessings as a result of my teachings that I've given them over the years. Majority of the people, and some of the people are not here, but those that are here and those that are listening on YouTube live after the recording, or possibly on Facebook where I'll post this recording, will be able to tell you that they have benefited and been blessed in one way, shape or form from my teachings over the years and direction in their lives. And I think Rabbi Kefa probably is a key example, and he can give you his testimony of the direction he took of his life through my instructions, and where his life is today is a reflection of his obedience to the words I gave him. Yes, to my words, the Kohen in the gate. You don't even know what the word Kohen means. Let me explain what Kohen means. Kohen means a priest. And it's not like a typical Catholic priest, who says to you, come to the church on Sunday and do 100 Hail Marys and Mary will bless you. This is not that type of Kohanim. I myself, I am from the tribe of Levi, sometimes pronounced Lavi as well. And I personally am directly a descendant of Aaron, the high priest. And I am a direct descendant to Moses. Now, I don't talk about this every week, I'm a descendant or not, but I am. Whether you believe it or not, I don't really care. It's not of no consequence to me whether you have that belief or not, and it don't affect me in any particular way whether you believe it or not. But I wanted to let you know that the Kohen has a priest from the house of Aaron, has a responsibility to the house of Israel. I'm not responsibility for the whole world. I am responsible for those people of Israel that have, are in the nations or maybe in Israel itself that are seeking direction. They are commanded in our Torah, in the books of Moses, to come to the Kohen in the gate. Whoever is a Kohen, it doesn't have to be me, it could be somebody else. It could be another Jewish man sitting in my position. And so they are saying that whoever is a Kohen in the gate, they are to go to that Kohen in the gate, and the God of Israel says as follows, that whatever he says to you, whatever issues you have, whatever problems you have, whatever direction you are seeking, whatever he says to you, that is my word. Listen to him. And if you don't listen to him, then you shall be cut off from Israel. In other words, spiritually, you will be cut off. You will not have access to the information, and you will not be allowed in. So I'm coming to that point where this is my personal feeling now, is that I have been teaching people freely. I've been teaching anybody that comes into the room, I teach them freely, without reservation. I don't care you're black, I don't care you're yellow, I don't care you're some other color. I teach you. I'm not racist, and I'm not into this, stroke, oh, we are the, Black Panthers or that kind of nonsense that people are into in America. So I'm not into any of that, BS, but I will teach anybody that comes with a sincere heart and that wants to be part of the house of Israel, as a people, as a person, because we are commanded in our Torah, in the book of Exodus, in chapters 12, we are told that anybody who comes from outside, he wants to be part of Israel, and he lives amongst you, meaning that he could be living in the same city, in the same country, maybe in a different country, but he wants to be part of our people, then God has commanded us to treat him with the same law, with the same respect as I would one of my own. So this is why we do not tolerate racism, and we do not do racism over here. And that's why I thought it's important to mention that. We do not consider ourselves an exclusive club. We are a people. We are a tribes, 12 tribes. Mine being 13th, that's not counted. We are a people that are scattered all over the globe. And we love Torah. We love the law of Moses, and we thrive on it. And yes, we read the New Testament, and some of my students, they do not believe that Jesus is the Messiah. They don't care about that. And I don't care about that either, because I personally have a belief that Jesus, Yeshua, is the Messiah. But just because some of my students have difficulty with that, I do not enforce them to believe that. They don't have to, because their salvation is not dependent on that belief. So, our concept of salvation is not the same as Christianity's mumbo-jumbo of blood, cleansing you and all that, which has nothing to do with Torah. So we do not follow it, and we do not believe it, and I do not enforce it. So we can have, people amongst us, house of Israel, we can have people amongst us who may believe that Jesus is a Messiah, or who may not believe Jesus is a Messiah. Either way, it doesn't matter, because to me, the central point is, do you obey the laws of the Torah, the 5 books of Moses? Do you pitch your tent in there? And if you don't pitch your tent in there, then you have no place amongst us. You shouldn't even be here. You should be someplace else, maybe in another Christian group, maybe in another spiritual room, or whatever, however you feel. So that's where we pitch our tent. Now, within our group, we do have people who do everybody does the 7-day Sabbath, period. Everybody does it. Now, some of us, we may not do, 7-day Sabbath in the sense of sunset to sunset, Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. Some of our group people, they do a Sabbath from Saturday sunrise to Sunday sunrise. So our Sabbath ends Saturday night, just like everybody else. But we do not follow the traditionalist model, which is which I can tell you, it's a Gentile model, by the way, that the Jews have adopted world over, where they start from the sunset Friday night, Babylonian Sabbath, and they end at Sabbath Saturday night. That's a Babylonian model. We do not follow it. Majority of us do not follow it. Some of us do. Some of the people, some of my students do follow that model of Friday night to Saturday night, and that's okay. There is no sin in doing that, as long as that works for them. And I encourage people to do their Sabbath from Saturday sunrise to Saturday sunset. Our Sabbath ends, and then it kind of goes on in the dark hours to Sunday morning, but that's not counted, because predominantly nothing happens between Saturday night and Sunday morning. Maybe somebody works, which is unlikely. I know nobody that works on Saturday night to Sunday night, but just by the by, our Sabbath is finished anyway, so they can work. If somebody had a job to attend to, and they wanted to go to McDonald's and do a job on Saturday night, yeah, they're welcome to do so. And the benefit of following the Torah Sabbath, this is the Torah Sabbath, by the way, and I'd encourage you, because you might say, well, how do I know you're telling the truth? Very easy. You can go to our Talmud, there's pieces of it all over the internet, and you can look at how the priesthood kept their Sabbath. And you will find out that even the New Testament talks about it, and even the Christian churches talk about it, and they'll say, oh, the Sadducees, they didn't believe in heaven and hell, and they didn't believe in the Sabbath being sunset. They believed in the Sabbath being sunrise, and that's what they followed. And by the way, our Talmud, our extra books, Mishnah, they talk about the priesthood never giving up a sunrise Sabbath. Never. In the temple, it never happened. In the tabernacle, it never happened. Our Sabbath was always sunrise to sunrise. So in other words, it will start Saturday morning and it will finish, give and take, sunset on that evening. And that's the end of our Sabbath. Now, of course, the Greeks came over in Israel 2,000 years ago, or about 2,300 years ago, and they occupied the land of Israel. And what they did, they suppressed the people. They said, you cannot keep Torah, you must not read it, you must not study it. And they forced the people at that time in Israel to behave in ways that the Greeks behaved. And they said, come join us in gyms, go to sports in gyms with us, and do your day sunset to sunset instead of sunrise to sunrise. So they forced a lot of people into that, and a lot of many of our people conformed to that. They did start doing that. Many of our people did, but there was those few hardcore, tribe of Judah and hardcore tribe of Levi that said, no way, we're not going to do that. And it was the tribe of Levi. It was a particular family that you read about in our what they call pseudo-epigrapha, our extra writings, the book of Maccabees, which was in the original King James Bible, which they removed later, by the way, of no authority of anybody, just the people, right, the British people and the other people that were holding our scriptures even to this day. They, at will, added and removed books as they felt like it, or because Luther said so, or because some other theologian said so. So they decided to remove certain books and be done with it. So 7 books were removed, and these included, of course, the book of Maccabees. In the book of Maccabees was a Levite family that stood up and fought a civil war in Israel, and you can read about that in secular history, and you'll be privy. So that's just a brief. So that's what a priest is. And that's what a Kohen's job is, to direct his people to live the best lives, to live a blessed life. And they'll come to the Kohen in the gate, and the Kohen's job and responsibility is to give them the best guidance. And also your responsibility to the Kohen, as the words of the Torah, are to support him in that job. It's not a free handshake. Oh, please give me everything and I'll give you nothing. No, you are commanded by God to support the Kohen in the gate, that he may live amongst you and he may be able to teach you. Now, if you don't support the Kohen in the gate, what the hell are you doing here? What the hell am I doing here? Nothing, So basically, I'll have to shut down the room and say bye-bye, and I'll go I'm a software engineer by profession. I can make $100,000 a year. Why would I waste my time with you? I don't have to. So the reason why I choose to do this is because this is where God called me to do this. I was called 21 years ago by God, by voice, to do this. And I'm here. 21 years later, I'm still here. But many of you come and gone. And probably many of you will come and go, like stragglers that do. Israel is a weird bunch of people. They're the most disobedient people on the planet Earth. No wonder we are scattered all over the world. No wonder we are still not restored. So who knows, when the restoration will happen? Who knows it's going to happen in the next 50 years, next 2,000 years? We don't know. But all I do know is that those that will stay with me and learn will benefit the most. That I do know. And so I always ask you is that, be compliant to the Torah. Don't take the Torah as a joke. And yes, to some of you, you may not know what that means, but, try to be compliant. Some of you may have difficulty in keeping the Sabbath because maybe you're working in jobs on Saturday and you have families to support. But I always encourage you to pray and ask God to give you that day off. Because mostly in Western Europe and in America and Western nations, usually Saturday and Sundays are off. But as you know, all the eating places are open, the shopping malls are open. So they need people to work. So and it may be that you are from the house of Israel and you are doing a job on Saturday, and I understand that. I'm not saying to you, give up your job and starve your family and go on Social Security or the likes. I'm just simply saying this, that be mindful, pray to God to seek reconciliation, seek peace, and seek at least one day off in the week, if you can, to honor the God of Israel with the Sabbath, because it's a covenant deal. We're in a covenant. This is not a game. We don't play games here. This is not a church, and this is definitely not a denomination. We are B'nai Israel, we're the children of Israel, and I encourage everybody to think about that and try to do the Sabbath once a week, and try to do the honorable thing of the festivals. We have 7 festivals plus 2. There's the Purim festival, and there's the Hanukkah. These are the extras. I don't say to the people that you have to do them. If you like to, you can. If you don't want to, you're okay not to. There's no commandment on you, there's no sin on you not to do those. But you are commanded to do the 7. And they are mentioned in the book of Leviticus. They are spoken throughout the New Testament, but the New Testament cannot be used to formulate law. That's another important thing. So I wanted to tell you this is a brief, and I will probably go into other things, and is as such. When you don't tithe, some of you are coming into this room and you come in, week out, but you do not follow the tithe model. You give your money somewhere else. You give it to the super malls. You give it to your malls. You buy the TVs. You buy the latest iPhones that are out there, but you refuse to tithe because you think, hey, why am I enriching this person? This is how your mindset is. And when your mindset is like that, you will never succeed. And I will tell you why you will never succeed. Because I've never had that mindset, by the way. I've never had it, and I probably never will. And I'm probably, in this whole group, I'm probably the biggest giver in the whole group. And you probably don't know that, because you don't know where I give and how I give. So, and Rabbi Kefa knows that probably firsthand, how I give and what I do. There's things that I do behind the scenes that you don't know, and that can run into the thousands of dollars. Again, I don't want to speak about that because it's not part of this lecture. So, I might be widows, it might be freeing somebody, it might be somebody stuck somewhere out in some other part of the world that I'm trying to help. Whatever, I do all of that. Now, the question is this, that I can only do things when you are going to be standing with me as the house of Israel. If you don't stand with me, then I won't be able to do it. So please understand that you have to support my work as a Kohen. If you don't support my work, I will have to remove you from the group. I'm sorry, but I'll have to do that, because the Torah commands me. The Torah says that if a person is not complying to the Torah, a Kohen can cut him off. He's supposed to be cut off, meaning remove him from yourself. Do not allow him in that access to yourself. So Rabbi Kefa is saying that I am a nurse, and I did what HaKohen said. I pray to have the Shabbat as an off day within a year. I have every Shabbat off. As a nurse, that is a miracle, because we know sickness does not take a holiday. Absolutely, Rabbi Kefa, I agree with you, because I have known Rabbi Kefa for at least, give and take, decade. At least a decade. I know Kefa personally, up close. I've been to his house several times, maybe more than a decade actually, and he's been along the journey with me. And Kefa can give you his testimony when he gets the mic, but I can tell you that Kefa can tell you right now that if I wasn't in his life, Kefa's life today would probably be hell, of what he was going through. And he wasn't even going through hell at the time, but it became hell. It became hell later, and he had a lot of difficulties, went through a nasty divorce, went through all sorts of problems, and came out a victor on top, came out a victor as a result of the Kohen in the gate. Honestly, he will tell you that. And I'm so proud of Kefa and his family today. I'm so happy for him. He has a son that I prophesied for Kefa, a son, about 10 years ago. I said, Kefa, you're going to have children. You're going to have a son, but you need to look for it. And then he was like, oh, I don't have any children. I already have these children from the ex-wife. I said, no, you're going to have a son. you are going to beget children, and they are going to be standing up for Israel. And you're going to get a son, it's going to come from a foreign wife. Today is married to a Chinese woman. So Baruch Hashem Yahweh for that. So now coming back to I want to give you a little testimony of myself, of the law, the perfect law, because the perfect law may have many different names, and the perfect law might be used out there in some way, shape, and form, and it might be referred to as the law of attraction, and they're modified bits here and bits there, and they tell you, you got to have the right vibration and blah blah blah. But that is not the perfect law. But they do take parts from it, by the way. And everything that they teach you on mainstream, everything the Gentiles are teaching you from the mainstream, I can show it to you in the Bible. It comes from the Torah. I can show it to you that it comes from our books. It is our perfect law that the nations have adopted, and they are benefiting from it, whilst our people are going from tree to tree, city to city, perching from branch to branch, and being dejected and not getting the blessings they deserve. Why? Because they don't obey the Torah. They have followed Gentile doctrines, they have followed Gentile laws, and they are trained the wise. They don't know what they are doing. And they are losing their sanity, they are ill, they have got illnesses of the nations, which God said that, I will not put upon you the diseases of Egypt, meaning, the wider world, diseases of the wider world, diabetes, blood pressure, high cholesterol levels. Our people are ravaged by diseases. Why? Why are they ravaged by diseases? Because they do not obey the perfect law. They do not obey the Torah. Yes, Rabbi Kefa, they modified our books and they modified the perfect law, absolutely. But I'm going to bring the perfect law, and I'm going to bring the perfect law back, and I'm going to reveal to you, and as I have been, everything about our perfect law. And I wanted to give you a testimony about, the perfect law, that I started to write this, I started to script the perfect law, and I'm going to give you one test, and this is just two bits from my testimony, like two manifestations or two desires. I had two desires in my perfect law, and I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I will tell you that I started to script those in October when I was sitting in a hotel in Pakistan. I was sitting in a hotel and I started to write, I need these two desires. And at that time I didn't have those desires. So I started to write it down, and I said, these desires, I started to write, and I started to visualize, and I started to do them every day. And I came back to England. I think I came back to England maybe in September. Then I went back again in November to the East. And then I came back in December, and I continued, and I was teaching the people exactly the same techniques I was doing. I was teaching everybody else the same thing. I started to teach people the 5 a.m. Technique to get up 5 a.m. in the morning and start to do your visualization, your scripting after that, and so on and so forth, and other things amongst these things. And what happened afterwards was that I don't know how many of you followed it. I don't know, because I didn't keep up with everybody. But I do remember that Yael was, she's a woman in America, lady in America. She was very ill. I remember she was very ill, and I was helping her to recover from her illness. And she really was bad. She was really having a tough time. And I had several conversations with her, guiding her as to how to heal her body. And Baruch Hashem Yahweh, and she can tell you herself, and I can report that she was fully healed from her illness. And she was on all sorts of junk medication, really hard medication. So she came out of all of that, and perhaps that was one of her manifestations and desire. And she can tell you more about it. I'm just thinking it might be. So I met those two desires 100%. My two desires, and I have others to follow through yet, but those two desires were met 100%. It took 8 months. I can tell you now, it took 8 months to do them, but I will also tell you that I was diligent in application of those desires, because the facts on the ground were that they were not there. Things were completely opposite, upside down. They were not happening. It looked like nothing would happen. But when I continued to follow through with those, both of those desires were met. And so therefore, I don't care if you're jealous, I don't care if you're laughing, I don't care if you're crying, but I will, tell you that none of those things matter to me. What matters to me is the law, the perfect law works. And one of those desires that I had, and I will give you a brief on that, was for me to get a house for somebody, for a family in Pakistan, for them to live in that house. That was one of my desires. And they were a poor family, they had no home, they've probably been poor for, I don't know, as far as I knew they were poor. They had no house, they were living on rent, and they had no transportation, and they were, struggling. And I was like, I looked at them and I said, you know what, this is not good. And that was a Hebrew family, by the way, in the East. And I said to myself, this is not good. I sat in their midst, and these people didn't have the room for me in their house. And I stayed in a hotel, and I was so upset when I stayed in a hotel. I said, I'm going to change this. I'm going to do something about this, because this family needs to have a house. And I said to the woman, I said that you need to have your own house. And she said, yes, but we don't have the finances. We do have a piece of land, but we don't have the finances. I said, would you prefer to build a house on your land? She said, maybe yes, if we could, or maybe no. So I said, okay, let's forget about that idea, because the land was on a really, let me describe it in blunt terms, shitty piece of land. It was a total shitty land on a dirty, smelly, piece of area. There were people piling garbage all around it. It was so smelly. I went over there and the whole thing smelled, and I said, you definitely don't want a house around here. Definitely don't want a house. I said, I cannot help you build a house here, because look at the smell. I said, if you build a house here, 2 or 3 bedroom house, this smell won't stop. How are you going to get rid of the smell from your windows and doors? I said, no, this is not the right area to live. I said, I have to figure something else out for you. So the woman said, the woman point blank refused me and said, no. And she called me, she said, I know you're a Kohen. She said, I'm sorry, I don't want you to go out of your way to help us, because, I don't want to sound like I'm asking for help. I said, no, you didn't ask me for help, but I will help. I will get you a house, but it's not going to be here. It's going to be in this city, but it's going to be at a better place. So I went away. I went to my hotel, and I went through this smelly place. And I was like, my goodness, I can't live over. You can't live over here. And I started to write down my script. I wrote down my affirmation for that family, and I started to visualize a house, and I started to visualize a car for them. And I said, there'll be a car, and there'll be a house where they will be living, and it'll be a nice 3-bedroom house, and maybe bigger than a 3-bedroom. Maybe we'll go for a 4-bedroom house. So I started to script it. I started to write it down, and I became serious, and I said, yep, this family is going to get a 4-bedroom house. I established it, and 8 months later, they are now living in a 4-bedroom house, and there's a car parked in their driveway. That was my manifestation and desire for them, and the family they're grateful to me. They're grateful that I was able to do them, help them. But they did, it wasn't just my, it was I drove that goal, but they helped as well. It's not like they put no money in it. They did put their own money in there as well, but I drove that goal. It was my money and their money combined together that brought that house and the car. Now, if you're jealous of that, tough luck. Continue to be jealous, because I will do good like that, and I've done good like that to many, many families. This is not the only family I've helped. There's many other families I've helped, and I'm going to continue to help them, because that's why God has given me birth, and that's why God brought me to the fore. And I'm not here to, live out luxury for myself and ignore everybody else. Let the house of Israel struggle. I'm not here for that. So my point is this: that I took a mission in Pakistan that I was going to help one family, and I ended up helping a number of families. I'm not saying I bought houses for everybody, of course not, but I did help them in different ways, and they all have better lives. So my point is this: that how did that happen? Because of one man's desire to change, to change, some part of the world to help people, and it worked. And Baruch Hashem Yahweh, that it will continue to work. My point is this: that what did I get out of it? I got nothing out of it, to be honest, other than the fact that satisfaction that I was able to use a perfect law to help a family that needed help. That's what I got out of it, okay? I didn't get a sum of money out of it. I did not get a inheritance out of it, nothing. I got none of those, and I didn't look out for those things either. I wasn't looking for an inheritance. I wasn't looking for a handout. I was just looking to better a family's life, and I did. And when I stood in that house, when I went this time, I felt proud of myself. I said, if my mother was alive today and she knew I did this, she would kiss me on my forehead, and she said, son, well done, you've done a really good thing. And that's basically. And what will God say? God will say, Baruch Hashem, well done, son, you've done a great thing. So this is where we are. This is what you can expect in your life if you're with me. And if you're not, then that's fine. I'm not putting you down. I'm simply saying that if you're here, great. If you're not here, no worries, no problem, because it may not be your place. Maybe you're not the house of Israel, and maybe you have no part to play with the house of Israel. But if you have, then so be it. And so you shall be playing a part in the house of Israel. So that was one manifestation. The second manifestation was the fact that there was another manifestation that I was working on that came as well, and I'll leave that to one side. That doesn't need to be told. So there are other things that are happening in between. But you see, again, as I say to you, take things seriously. Don't take things not seriously, because if you don't, then it will affect you detrimentally. Now, you might think to yourself, hey, why should I help this man? Oh, he's a Kohen in the gate. He's for Israel. Because if you join Israel, you're actually going to be blessed as well. And joining Israel doesn't require a fee. I'm not saying to you, hey, you're going to pay me $500 to join Israel. No. If you want to be like Abraham, our father, all you got to do is a little conversion process in which you convert and you say, I'm going to live the life of Abraham, and I'm going to follow the laws that Abraham followed, and I'm going to do the things that Abraham did, and I'm going to be, obedient to the law of Moses. That's all you need to say, nothing more. And you're good, to be part of Israel. And so I encourage you to think about that, to think about that to better your life. Now, coming back to the diseases. And I want to speak a little bit about the diseases that are being affected in our people. Blood pressure, there's high cholesterol, there's diabetes, and there may be others as well. So let me tell you about high blood pressure. The common denominator, or the common thing that is taught out there in medical profession. And by the way, I did study medicine. I am a qualified acupuncturist. I got a proper diploma in herbal and Chinese medicine, and I did study Western medicine also. So I am speaking from educated background, not speaking from just reading articles. Now, the common perception, or what is taught in the medical profession, is that a blood pressure should be 120 systolic over 80 diastolic. By the way, what they teach you in the medical profession is total baloney. That's what they tell you is a normal blood pressure, 120 over 80, but that is absolutely false in real life. Because in real life, one person could have a blood pressure of 140, and another person could have a diastolic of 90, and they'll tell you, oh, 90 is too high. They tell you 90 is second level hypertension, but that is total BS. 90 is not second level hypertension. But that's what they tell you in the medical profession. Then they'll put you on statins. And if you know anything about statins, some of you may have taken them. They are blood pressure pills that try to reduce your blood pressure, but in the process they kill you. And that's how the medical profession, that's how the big pharma makes money. Because they'll tell you that you have a problem, and they'll tell you we'll try to help your problem, but in the process they'll kill you. They won't help you, they will actually kill you. Because the statins, they have a lot of side effects, and they'll kill you. And they'll tell you, don't eat salt, and don't eat this, and don't eat that. But let me tell you, there was this Indian doctor I was listening to last night, and maybe I'll send you the link to this Indian man. He's a doctor, and he was speaking about this, and I just laughing. I was saying that this is so true, right? That people have been brainwashed into believing Western theology about medical practice. They tell you that you got high blood pressure, they tell you got diabetes, but actually high blood pressure is just a symptom, it's not a disease. Let me repeat that. High blood pressure is not a disease, it's a symptom of something that you're doing wrong. It could be a number of things that are causing you high blood pressure, what they call high blood pressure anyway. So, and it may not even be high blood pressure, but let's just say if it is, then it could be a symptom of chemical imbalance. Maybe your body's hormones, chemicals are out of whack. It could be stress and tension, and it could be foods that you eat. That's the only reason for you to have a higher than normal readings. Now, let me tell you that higher readings are sometimes better, not worse. You will never hear that anywhere else, only here. Higher readings are better, not worse. And I can guarantee you're not going to find a YouTube video about that either, unless I make it. So right now I don't intend to make it. So the point is this, that you might say, hang on a minute, are you telling me that having a blood pressure of 140 over 90 is good? And I'm going to tell you, yes, it can be better for you. Just as a Ferrari's engine is not the same as a Ford car's engine. Are you going to tell me that a Ferrari's engine needs to be Ford car's engine to work? Answer is no. A Ferrari's engine is a sports engine. Just as a Ferrari's engine is a sports engine, you and me are two separate people, and 5 fingers of the hand are not the same. So 5 people, totally different age, can have different blood pressure readings. Nothing to do with their age. You know what the doctors will teach you in medical profession, which I learned from my doctor? It's 100 plus systolic pressure. In other words, if your systolic pressure is 120, they'll say to you, whatever your age is, add to the systolic pressure. So, if you're 50 years old, they'll say add that to the 100. So that's 150. So they'll say your systolic should be 150, and so on and so forth. If you're 30 years of age, they say you should be 100 plus age, 130. If you're 25, 100 plus age, 125. Total BS. That's total BS. Not true. Again, medical profession only teaches you what they know, what they have acquired from books, and what they will use to sell you medicines from Big Pharma. Now, I don't want to berate Big Pharma because I really have nothing to do with them, but that's how it works. Yael is saying that, yes, I had many health problems. I followed the instructions of the Kohen and received total healing. When I started out, I had been flat on my back for approximately 10 years, totally bedridden. Now I am up and around, doing well and mobile. Tadaha Kohen and Baruch Hashem for the return of my health and life. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, without health there is no life. So my point is that do not, stress out at what the doctor tells you. The doctor could be giving you total bullshit, and telling you, oh, you got this, you got that, now you got to be on statins, now you got to do this medicine, that medicine. They are going to take those medicines and kill you with those medicines. So stop for a minute. Get advice. This is why I'm here. I am here to advise you what is and what is not, because I'm talking about life experience. Life experience. I have been in the medical profession. I'm a software engineer. I've sat with lawyers. I sit with doctors. I sit with military personnel, generals and colonels. I can tell you about all walks of life, that how much bullshit is out there and what really happens and what doesn't happen. So if you really want to know the truth about things, ask me. Write to me and I'll tell you. Because 9 times out of 10, you probably don't even have a disease that the doctor has qualified on your report as a disease, and is pumping you with medicines and keeping you there because that feeds the Big Pharma and makes them rich. Think about it. Who's driving the Porsches? Who's driving the Rolls Royces? Those Big Pharma executives are doing all of that at your expense, at the health of your life. So be careful of what you do and what you eat. Now, blood pressure, as I explained, is a symptom, not a disease. Diabetes is not a disease, but every doctor out there tells you diabetes is a disease. I, as a physician, tell you diabetes is a symptom of your body. In other words, it's a symptom of your body not being able to cope. With what exactly? Well, if your body, if you're taking a lot of carbohydrates, you will produce immense amounts of insulin. And insulin resistance in your body can cause diabetes. It's a symptom. It's not a disease. As soon as you deal with the insulin resistance, you have dealt with diabetes permanently. And diabetes will be cured. Yes, diabetes can be permanently cured by dealing with the insulin resistance. And some of you are privy to that. The insulin resistance happens because you pump too many carbohydrates in your system. Maybe you drink a Coke every day. Maybe you drink these so-called these drinks that come out as a low-fat diet. Coke, Pepsi, and other drinks, and like carbonated drinks and sugars, refined sugars that you drink in your drinks. Guess what they are doing to you? They are pumping all that sugar in your body, and your liver and your spleen have to work so hard. Your liver has to work so hard to try to, your spleen is trying to, produce, the insulin to cover all of that, insulin shot. So what is the cure to diabetes? Very simple. Deal with the insulin issue, the resistant insulin, and you deal with your diabetes. You will no longer have sugar issues. It's totally curable. And the way you deal with it, you cut the carbohydrates altogether. Cut the carbohydrates, and then your body will not be producing immense amounts of insulin. And then as you stop producing immense amount of insulin, your body will start to react differently. You will not be getting headaches. You will not be getting all of that. All of these things will just disappear in days and hours, and you will be healed. Shabbat Shalom Simha. So, I will send you, if you want the video of that doctor in India, he talks a lot of sense. He was a mainstream doctor first, but now he teaches people dietary recovery. And you can listen to him. He's got a long-winded name, and I'm trying to think of his name. It's going to be hard to pronounce for me. But let me just have a look, see if I can see doctor's name, and maybe I can give you his name. Let's see if I can find him. No, I don't. I'm gonna have to look for that doctor. Let's see, where is he? He's on YouTube, but I'm gonna have to track him down. But he's got a lot of good, sensible advice based on based on what people do. And I'm gonna have to search for him. And maybe what I'll do, let's see, how did I find him? How did I find this guy? I don't know, he just popped up, and I listened to him, and the guy just what he was talking about was exactly what I'm telling you now, is what I've known, right? That the people teach you is a lot of baloney, and I think okay, I'm searching, but I'm not actually finding him right now. I'll have to search for him and find him and send you the link. If you need that link, I can find it for you. However, like I said, that is a good doctor, is a great doctor, and he gives very good information which will help you. So, having said that, that was that. So, do not treat diabetes as a disease. Do not treat blood pressure as a disease. Do not pump yourself with statins. They will kill you. Because there was a study done, and that doctor was speaking about that study in Helsinki and in the UK, and they found that the group they gave the medicines to, that group, they had a certain number of deaths, over 400 deaths, and the same group they did with no medication, and they had I think there was a couple of deaths less with no medication. So the doctor concluded that whether you give medicine or not, you do not need to treat it. Now, when they tell you don't eat salt, when you have you've heard this world over. You go anywhere, Pakistan, India, and China, you always hear this. Oh, let me find this doctor's name. Let me, because I think the video is titled "Cholesterol: The Biggest Lie." See if I can track it down. cholesterol, the biggest, yeah, the biggest lie, the big lie. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, and the guy's name is, I'm trying to find his name. What's his name?
No, I've been speaking about the secret of longevity in health.
He doesn't list his name on the video. I don't know, somebody's loaded these videos, but they do not list his full name. He's got a, I think it's a South Indian doctor, and insulin biggest issue. You know, he's got videos titled "Insulin Biggest Issue," "Cholesterol the Biggest Lie." All these are great videos to watch, and but he doesn't list his name. His name is kind of long-winded and a little bit hard to pronounce, so I'm not going to pronounce it. You know, you may not even understand the pronunciation. And he said one of his videos is "Hypertension doesn't require medication." Absolutely true.
The meaning means.
And he's right about that. Again, I do not have his name on the list. See, it looks like to me somebody recorded his lectures that he gave in India, and they just posted, like, you know, excerpts from it, like, you know, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 7 minutes, like that. Really great lectures. I highly encourage you to look. Yeah, that's the one, Eddie. Dr. S. Vijaya Raghavan. Probably. Let me see if that's the one. Let me see. Yeah, that's the one. So it's a very funny kind of name to pronounce. Let's just call him Dr. Vijaya. Okay, Dr. Vijaya is a guy. If you find him, you know, look at his videos. They will help you immensely. If you're struggling with diabetes, blood pressure, or other cholesterol levels, he will really help you. And so, you know, do not ever remove salt from your diet. If you're eating salt, you know, make pink salt or sea salt as a major part of your diet, because without salt, your body will deteriorate and die. Because salt is needed in the body with calcium to promote and to keep the balance of potassium. Because I knew somebody who had a potassium deficiency, but I don't know what they do with salt and calcium. So they kept pumping them with, you know, potassium tablets, but he, you know, kept going on and off. So, you know, you give him potassium, he's okay for a bit, and then afterwards he needs more. But the problem wasn't the potassium. The problem was that the lack of salt and calcium in his body to produce a balance of potassium. So that's what you need. You need a balanced approach, and then the balanced approach will be that you need. And thank you, Eddie, for posting that link. Yeah, please look at that link. You know, see the videos that this doctor has put up, Dr. Vijaya Raghavan. You know, he's put up great links. I think absolutely, you know, critical information for you to see if you are struggling with any of these diseases, because they will tremendously help you. You will never be the same again. You'll never think like what they tell you over here, and they put all this fear in you, and they put these bad, you know, tablets, drugs in your body that totally wreck your body, and you're thinking that the doctor's trying to help you. And yes, you know, on the surface, the doctor may be sincere, but he's actually only doing what the pharma's telling him to do. You know, their education in nutrition is absolutely atrocious. Doctors, out of their 5 years of study, only get 2 weeks for nutrition study. Only 2 weeks. And even their 2 weeks of nutrition study is useless. I have sat with doctors world over, and I had discussions on that, and doctors are very ill-informed about nutrition. So don't think that the doctor is a expert on that at any means. Yeah, Olivia is saying that Tridar Rabbi, great help indeed, because I've been taking high blood pressure pills for years and I'm tired of it. No, Olivia, I'm telling you, blood pressure is not a disease. You shouldn't be taking any statins, any pills. You should be recovering for blood pressure without any pills. It's got an underlying cause. Underlying cause could be that you were had high tension, you're eating some foods that are not beneficial for you, and that, you know, it could be those are your driving factors for blood pressure. They are a high driving factor. You do not need pills for blood pressure. Do not take pills. Blood pressure can be reduced by general things. There is a chi machine. There is a something called a chi machine, and it kind of moves your feet. You put your both foot on it, and your feet will go left, right, like a goldfish's tail. That machine is a Taiwanese machine. I think it's about $350 in America, and that one will reduce your blood pressure. That one will reduce your blood pressure, by the way. I have heard great testimonies from people who use it. I have one in the home, and you sit on that for 15 minutes. You lie and you do it for 15 minutes, and the chi machine will lower your blood pressure. In other words, if your reading is high, and I don't consider all high readings wrong, by the way, I don't. And maybe I'll give you a testimony 10 years from now. I won't give you a testimony yet. Maybe 10 years time I'll give you another testimony. But right now, like I explained to you in brief, don't compare a Maserati car, sports car, with a Ford car. That's how we are. We're different people. One might be running slightly high and one might be running slightly low. It doesn't mean that you have bad health. That's just what the medical profession wants you to know. So remember that. So you need to think about it. There is also lots of YouTube videos. I encourage you to look at solar water. Solar water can heal a lot of diseases, including blood pressure. So-called, blood pressure by the medical profession's terminology, blood pressure. That blood pressure. I'm not talking about general, health. So if you take solar water, what is solar water? You take blue bottles, glass bottles, and you put water in there, and you put it out in the sun for a few hours. You cover it up, put it in the sun, and you take it indoors, and you bless that water. Remember, I told you always to bless your water. Bless it, speak nice words to it, love that water, and drink it. It will heal you. A lot of people have put testimonies on YouTube videos that solar water has healed them. Type solar water and blue bottles, and you'll come across it. Put that to effect. Put that to use for your life. It will help you. So that's the solar water side. So my point is this, that conventional medicine and conventional ideas are totally wrong. They're totally wrong, and they're against every principle of health. So be careful of taking conventional advice from doctors, although they mean good, but they're only regurgitating what the book says. They are not really true practitioners in the sense of application of 5,000 years. Like Chinese doctors, they've applied something because it worked for 5,000 years. They used a herb because it worked on 5,000 patients, and they've been using it for 6,000 years, and the Chinese will say that this particular herb has affected 6,000 people, and they've been taking it for 5,000 years or 6,000 years, and we found these effects. So we can prescribe this herb because it has these beneficial effects. That's how the Chinese practice works. The Chinese practice does not work with what the farmer says. Their practice works with how many people they cured. Rabbi Zakaria is saying that Hakohin, I read that there is a pressure point on our foot that can be pressed and instantly lower blood pressure. Is that true? Yes, there is. Yes, that is true. You can lower the blood pressure by pressing your acupuncture or acupressure point between your feet. So there are a lot of acupuncture points on your feet, and they apply to different things, like stomach problems, liver problems, other problems. So totally another topic, but yes, and also on your the same points also exist on your ear, and usually we use those points. When I used to do auricular therapy with little needles, I used to apply the needle to those points on the ear to do the same thing, because if applying the point to the foot with a needle was painful. A lot of people don't want a needle in their sole of their foot, so it's painful. But they were okay with having it in their ear because it was a very small needle, like a 1/4 inch, and it was easier to put it in their ear and apply acupuncture to it with a little electrical machine. So that worked a lot better. So having said that, you could probably press it with your foot, but imagine applying a 22 gauge needle or 23 gauge needle. These are thin needles, acupuncture ones, and you apply it in your foot, and some people are okay, and other people can feel a lot of pain, so they don't want it there. So just by the by, and and that's why it's important for you to know about sound health. Sound health, you definitely don't want sound health coming from your medical practitioners, because they are geared towards what Big Pharma wants, and they get bonuses and kickbacks to them from what they do for the Big Pharma. So remember that doctors are not here for a handshake. They are here because they want to earn six-figure salary, because farmer wants them to sell certain medicines, and that's how they drive their industry. And in the food industry, as you know, is the same thing. Nobody wants to stop all of those things because it drives a lot of economy. And let me put it this way: if the medical profession was there to heal you, then everybody would be healed. The medical profession is not here to heal you. The medical profession is here to make money, like everybody else out there on the planet, running a shop. They're all running a shop. They want to make money. Death is their business. Don't think to yourself for a second they want to give you a long life. They definitely don't want you to have long life. They want you to be on medication, and die at 50, 60, 70, and not be a burden on the taxpayer. The UK people, you might understand what I'm saying over here. They don't want you to be a burden on the taxpayer, because the UK economy can't afford it, or the Chancellor can't afford it, because they have to pay out dole money, and so and so on and so forth. You get my point. Be very wise about these things. So, and if you're on pension, they don't want to pay you a pension till you're 100 years old. They'd rather you be dead at 65 or 60, so they can take that pension off your list. And in America you can transfer pension, but in England you can't do that. So in England, if you're on pension, and if your pension starts at 65, now it's 66 years of age, and you die 2 years later, they're happy for that, because now they don't have to pay pension to nobody else. So it lessens the burden. So imagine if you live to 100 years old, and they have to pay your pension from 65 to 100. That's 35 years of pension. Now you multiply that with every person who lives 100. So, but that doesn't happen in the UK, because most people in the UK don't live to 100. Most people die at around 70. Most people over there. So they only enjoy their pension at most maybe for 4 years, sometimes 5. Majority of the people in England do not live on their pension for more than 4 or 5 years of their life, and then they're dead. So why? Because that's what the medical profession wants. They want these people to be dead and not to be a burden on the system, because the system keeps talking about, I can't afford it. How many times you heard that from the UK Chancellor? We are in a debt burden, and this is happening and that is happening. So always listen between the lines. So that's that. Now let's come back to the Parsha. Now, I didn't even give you the joke of the day, whilst I was talking about health, and that kind of passed, but that's okay. We will pass that. The Parsha is Terumah, and it says that then Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, that they bring me an offering. From everyone who gives it willingly with his heart, you shall take my offering. And this is the offering which you shall take from them: gold, silver, and bronze. Listen, people today, right, it talks about blue, purple, and scarlet. People today are refused to give tithe. Imagine people, Israelite people, in the ancient times, giving gold, silver, and bronze. Think about it for a second. They came out of Egypt, and the question would be, where did they get all of that gold, silver, and bronze? Because they were slaves, right? They plundered Egypt, and Egyptians gave it to them. Said, here you go, leave our country, get the hell out of here, because our country has been pummeled by plagues and all sorts of things. Your God is destroying our country. Please leave quickly. So these Israelites, they gather all the gold, the silver, the bronze, and they bring it. Now God is saying to them, give it as a free will. That's called Terumah. Give it as a free will, because now it's going to be invested into building a tabernacle, building an Ark of the Covenant, and things like that. So my point is that first God gives them a free will offering. God gives it to them freely. God says, you're going to have the gold, you're going to have all the silver and the bronze. Now God says, let's see where your heart is. Are you willing to give it back now to me as a free will offering? A free will offering is not 10%, by the way. A free will offering can be 50%. It can be 20%. It can be 5%. It can be 10%. It's up to you. So God now puts Israel to test and task and says, what is your free will offering to me? And he asks them to give good things, not bad things. He says gold, silver, bronze, and blue and purple, and scarlet. These are very expensive threads. Fine linen and goat's hair. Very expensive thread. By the way, the Hidden Truths, Hebraic Scrolls, or the Abrahamic-Faith Bible has goat's hair. Most of the other Bibles out there in the world will have something else. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they may have badger skin. Let me just quickly check. It's the book of Exodus, chapters 25 and verses, let's see, verses 4. So let me pull up the New King James Version or the King James Version, 25, 5. Yeah, it says badger skins. Now, that's a mistranslation, by the way, because badger skins, right? Badger is an unclean animal, and God will not permit us to use an unclean animal skin. Now, however, I will say this. Let me give you something. Let me ask you a question so I can see, how much knowledge you have in this particular area, and you might be surprised to listen to this. If I asked you, if I take a pig, and I slaughter it, and I take the skin and I make something out of it, the skin, am I permitted to use that? Like, let me give you an example, a real example. Do you know all the combs that are made, and they come from China, these brushes, we call brushes to brush your hair, they are made from pork's hair and skin. Did you know that? And they're made from pork's hair and skin. Now, are you permitted to use that? Because a pork is not permitted to us as an animal. So what would be the answer to that? Okay, so I got Devorah, Eddie, and Adelia saying that we're permitted to use it, and some people saying, Tara Abrahu and Yael saying, Tara Abrahu saying no, and Yael saying yes. So, and Rabbi Kefa saying yes, just not on the Shabbat. Okay. Now, what I mean is if you went to Walmart, maybe I haven't rephrased my question correctly. If you went to Walmart or Tesco in England and Walmart in America, or maybe, a utility store in Pakistan, and, like, let's give a big store name, Centaurus, in Islamabad is a big mall. You went over there, you saw all these nice, fancy brushes for your hair, and not a Sabbath, other day, you went, and would you buy it? Because if you knew that it's made from pork skin and hair, would you buy it and use it on your hair? That is my question. Is it permitted? So, I'm probably going to get mixed answers. Mostly mixed answers. Yes and no answers. Let me tell you one thing. It's actually permitted. You are allowed to use pork skin's hair, for brush. It's actually permitted. Now, are you surprised about that? You shouldn't be. Because when you're putting it through a chemical process, even an unclean animal will change. The definition of unclean animal changes. It no longer considers it unclean. Because you're not eating the meat. You're using it in a byproduct. And a byproduct is permitted. Why do I say that? Because Israel was using the crimson worm. They were using not crimson, they were using a worm to bring out a blue dye. The blue dye was used to make our fringes, our zitziots. They were using those to make them into blue color through a worm. And a worm is not permitted in the Torah as a product to eat. But the blood of the worm was permitted in a chemical process to color the cloth. You see my point? So, therefore, yes, even if it's made from pork, skin and hair, it is permitted because it's no longer considered clean. This is why you can take pork medicine. You can take pork, they make heart medicine from pork's heart. From a pig's heart, they make pork medicine. They make heart medicine. This is why you're allowed to take those medicines, because it's no longer considered unclean. Yes, a basketball and football is fine to play with, no problem about that. So yes and yes and yes, because they are not considered unclean. So having said that, when an unclean animal, you take the skin of that animal, you process it chemically, and you remove all the byproducts, and you make something else out of it, it is 100% permitted. 100%, no problem. So now you'll no longer be running around ignorantly. You'll know what to buy and when to buy it. So that's basically that. So God was testing Israel and said, and plus this word that they used for badger, it wasn't badger, it was goat's hair, because there was no badgers running around in the desert. There was goats running around in the desert. So ram skins, dyed red, blue skins, and acacia wood. Oil for the light and spices for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense. Now these blue skins, they were colored blue because of this. Remember I told you about this worm that had the, they were using it at one time to color the dyes. And that's how they colored the dyes. It says, let them make me a holy place, that I may dwell among them. According to all that I show you, that is the pattern of the tent and the pattern of all its furnishings, just so you shall make it. So God basically wanted to dwell amongst Israel and bless them. Now, Moses went up and stayed 40 days, 40 nights, as the Torah tells us. And Moses, it says, received the law. By the way, he received the Ten Commandments in tablet form. Moses did not write the Torah up there. He came back down and wrote it, later. And God did not reveal to him the whole Torah up there. He basically revealed to him the Ten Commandments and whatever else God showed him, the heavenly tabernacle, the heavenly menorah, and the tree of life, and how this menorah will be made down here. So God showed him that as a pattern. So one of the things that we did as Abrahamic-Faith, Forever-Israel, is we produce these plates in Pakistan. We produce these plates with the engraved 10 Commandments on there. We have plates with engraved 10 Commandments, 10 by 8 inch, and Rabbi Kefa has them. I believe the price that we are suggesting for those plates is that they might be made in brass or steel, and we are suggesting a price of $40 for those. And I don't know, Rabbi Kefa, is that including postage or excluding postage? I'm not sure about that side. So $40 for the brass plate, etched for your house, for your door, should be the 10 Commandments. That's a commandment, by the way. God said, etch it on your doors. And that today, by today's definition, not included. Okay. So plus postage. So $40 for the plate, and postage is probably not going to be more than $5 in America. I know that. About $5 to $6 postage. Yeah, $5 postage. So 45 in total to put a 10 Commandment in Hebrew and transliterated Hebrew in English on your door, and that fulfills, that would be an excellent way to fulfill the commandment that God gave us, to etch it on our doors. So there is the 10 Commandments, there is the 42 names of God, and there is the 72 names of God. I think the 42 names of God is a smaller plate. So that is going for $20 a piece. And all the 8-inch plates, like the Psalm 23, this 8-inch plate, is going for $40. But all the 4 by 5-inch plates are all going for $20. Speak with Rabbi Kefa, because he has the plates, and they come in different things. There's a Anna Bekoach prayer, very powerful prayer from the 1st century for blessing of the home. There is Psalm 23. There is the 72 names of God that you must have in your homes. There is the 10 Commandments. It's actually commanded for us to do that. So it's not just by the by put it for decoration. It's not decoration. It's a commandment. So please speak to Rabbi Kefa. He can give you his number. It's on our website at www.forever-israel.com or Abrahamic-Faith.info. It's on the website. Rabbi Kefa can take your calls and respond to you. I don't carry any. I've passed everything to Rabbi Kefa, and if we run short, I can order some more for him. And these are made in Pakistan at particular order. A lot of work has gone into them. By the way, me and a student of mine in Pakistan put a lot of work behind it. The address for Kefa is kefabinyah@yahoo.com. That's KEFABENYAH@yahoo.com. You can write to him, and he'll be able to, address you and guide you as to exactly the cost and the size and what is it that you want. I will encourage you. This is my encouragement. You must get the 10 Commandments. You must get the 72 names, and you absolutely must get Anna Bekoach prayer. And there's also in production right now the Birkat HaBayt, the blessing for the home, is in production right now in Pakistan. There is also a couple of other things in production, but they haven't yet been made, but they are being produced. So highly, highly encourage you for blessings of your home. These are must-have items. These are not like, oh, maybe I put them up for decor. No, this is not decoration items. These will bring blessings into your house. So, Rabbi Kefa can email you order forms. If you email Rabbi Kefa, he can then email you back order forms and an email address where he can reach you and talk to you, and you can give him your telephone number or something. If you're in America, then he can speak to you direct. But I encourage you to get these for yourselves and act on it. Don't just take it by the by and don't order, because, by the way, we are not charging you money to make profit. This is cost. This is what is costing us to produce them and bring them to America. So you're getting it at cost base. I told Rabbi Kefa that we want to sell it at cost base so that people can, get the things and they can be blessed by them in their homes. So, rest is up to you what you do with them. That's my advice. Now, coming back to the commandments. So, I wanted to speak about one particular commandment that Jesus spoke about, and that's something that you may have heard. And let me pull it up, because let me pull that up, because what did Jesus say? Jesus said the following. Let me pull it up. In the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6, and I'm going to pull it up from the Bible. In fact, it says as follows, Matthew chapter 6:6. But when you go and pray, enter into your closet, and when you shut your door, pray to the Father who is in secret. And the Father which sees you in secret shall reward you openly. Excuse me, bro. What does that actually mean? By the way, traditionally Christians think it means to pray privately in your room and sit there and pray and don't ask anybody else to come in. Traditionally, it doesn't actually mean that. It actually means to do imagination. It actually means totally reverse. It means to sit down, close your eyes, and imagine in your imagination, and whatever you imagine will come to pass. That's what it actually means. You will never hear that from a church or a pastor, because they're nonetheless wiser, unfortunately. They're stuck with their traditionalist interpretations. So, just as our Torah has 70 faces, 70 interpretations, so does the New Testament. It has many interpretations. This is one of the key interpretations that you need to take to home with you. And when Jesus spoke about, I go to make mansions for you, he wasn't speaking about making a house for you. He was saying to use your imagination, and that will bring you your imagination. Your imagination will bring you your mansion. That's what he was basically saying. Subconscious, yes, Rabbi Kefa. Rabbi Kefa saying your subconscious is the closet. Absolutely, your subconscious is the closet. And Jesus was speaking in parabolic form, and he was telling you that I go to make mansions. No, he's not going in the sky to make a house for you. That's just nonsense that people believe, because there's no houses in the sky for us. When the Messiah comes back, we are going to be living on the earth in Israel, not in some pie in the sky house. Like that Jack and the Giant beanstalk. It goes up into the sky and finds giants living there. So it's not like that. You're going to be living on the ground. So when Jesus was speaking about it, the Messiah, he was basically saying that use your imagination and pick a mansion, pick a desire, and imagine it, and you will get it. So the closet, a lot of people said, oh, closet means put your tallit on and do it. No, that's one interpretation, to put your tallit on. Really what it means is sit down, calm down, relax, and start imagining. That's what it actually means to be in your closet. And the Father in secret will hear it because our subconscious is connecting to the Father in heaven. So what we are imagining, the Father in heaven will give us. That, by the way, comes straight from our Torah, where it tells us that wherever your feet will go, I will give you that place. That is exactly coming from the Torah in the book of Deuteronomy, and that exactly is what Jesus referred to as mansions and closet. Different way of referring it, but the wording comes from the Torah. Now you heard it from the Kohen. So apply it in your life. Now, I'm going to give you two methods that both will work. At this point in history, in time, I cannot tell you which method is the fastest because I am testing both methods systematically. One method I applied took 8 months. The other method I'm applying, and I got a new, I put a new desire to it, and it hasn't yet come to pass, but I will tell you when it comes to pass, and I will tell you the timeline, just as I told you the timeline of the 8 months. Now, the 8 months method was me scripting it, which I gave you scripting last time. You can have 15 days on, 15 days off. Or you can have 22 days on and 9 days off. Or you can do it 14 days on and 14 days off. That was that scripting method. It took 8 months to work that method. Okay? And then I had the card on top. I had a little index card right beside my laptop, and I used to read it out to my success direction every day, loud. Write your utmost desires on a piece of card and read them out every day to your success direction. If you don't know your success direction, no problem. Read it facing the north. That is God's throne, by the way. Or read it facing the east if you're in America. That would be facing Jerusalem, the temple. Those directions will work equally as powerfully as your success direction. So read that card. Whatever it is that you're desiring, write it as a little statement on an index card. And, write down your, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This index card, that's lined version, has about 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. It has 11 lines. So you could probably put about 11 manifestation desires on there, about 11, or let's just say 10. You put 10 on there, and if you have 10, and you can speak those every day. And I did that, by the way. So I already have manifested 2 in 8 months. The method works. Now I'm doing it a different way. And the different way is where you write every day. You take another method, you take another affirmation. Now I've taken another 2 or 3 affirmations, or maybe more, and what I do is now I started to script it every day. I write it 10 times. Every day I write it 10 times. And I only started that about 4 or 5 days ago, by the way. So I will repeat it, Simha. I'll repeat it. The one method is where you write it on an index card, your desires. Maybe, 5 desires, maybe 10 desires. You write an index card. You speak those desires every day. I would encourage you to do it twice a day, morning and evening, before you go to work and after you come back, facing the east, if you're in the US, facing the east towards Jerusalem, or facing the north. Or if you know your success direction, then facing your success direction. Those 3 spots are the key to success. Number 1. Number 2, you write your affirmation, your listing, your script, your list. Remember I spoke about a list of 15 items or 20 items. You write that list for 14 days or 15 days, and then 15 days no writing. Stop. But do you speak your card? Yes, you continue to speak your card, but you do not write it. That's one method. That's one way. Now, when I write my book, I will spell it out a little bit further in the book. Now, the second way is that you write, I don't know, just take 2. Just take 2 desires out of the 14-day one, cut them from the 14. So don't have them on the 14-day and on the everyday. No. Have them only on the everyday list, and not on the 14-day list. And then those 2 desires that you're going to take as systematic testing, You're going to put it on a script, get a nice notepad, and you can get these from Walmart. Pretty inexpensive. They have about 5 sections, and you can put about 5 desires. On each section is 1 desire, and you write it every day 10 times. Now, I would encourage you to write it. Maybe some of you are struggling to write. Then you can, you might say, I have a bad hand, or I have, what's that wrist problem you get? Where you get pain in the wrist. You might say, I have pain in the wrist, or I have arthritis or something. If you have those kind of problems, then I encourage you to only write it 5 times every day. Only 5 times. That 1 desire. So it could be your complete health. I am incomplete, I am so grateful, or I am grateful that I'm in complete and perfect health. Boom, 1 line. Write it 5 times for your health. Is it worth it? Is your health worth writing it down every day 5 times? I tell you 100% yes, it is worth it. You can write it in a number of ways. I am grateful that I'm in perfect health. Or you can write it, I am so happy and grateful that I am in perfect health. Thank you, thank you. Or you can say, thank you, universe. You can say, thank you, God. Or you can say, I feel wonderful. All of these methods will work. You don't have to invoke God in everything. God is already there. So if you say, I am grateful that I'm in perfect health, and then you put down at the end, it feels great. That's your 1 line. And if you write your 1 line 5 times a day or 10 times a day, every day of your life, you will be in perfect health. I don't care what disease you have. I don't care you have cancer, you have this, that, and the other, you will be in perfect health. No, you don't need to look at the previous writing either. So the method I'm explaining to you today is you write it every day. Now, it could be a business. Somebody out there in your midst is saying, I need to have a business that generates $500,000 a year. That needs to be somebody said that to me in real life. So that's why I'm giving you a real life example. So what you do, you write it on your daily list. You take that 1 desire and you write it. I am grateful that my business is producing $500,000 worth of income every year. And it feels awesome. Or you can make it $1 million income. Or $2 million income. Whatever it is you desire. I'm not putting a limit to your desire. I'm just giving you the method. You can put down 50 million if you like, and it's possible. 100 million is possible. I heard one man who was writing for 100 million income, and he made it happen in 1 year. He said he wrote every day for 1 year, and he made it happen in 1 year by scripting it daily. So, it works. My point, it works. So I'm not limiting you. I'm not saying, hey, you got to put down $50,000. No, you can put down 500,000. You can put down 100 million. It's up to you. What is it that you want? I don't know. I'm just giving you an idea and a method in which you apply yourself. You might say, I can handle $1 million business. Great. Then go get it. You might say, I can handle a $10 million business. Great. Go get it. Nobody's stopping you from getting a $100 million business. If that's what you desire. If you desire to be a billionaire, no one can stop you from being a billionaire. But, set your goal. Set your little task, your little reminder that every morning you're going to write it either 5 times or 10 times daily as a practice. Now, one of the questions that Eddie asked me, and thank you, Eddie, for asking that question last week, was, what if we miss a day? Or what if we miss 2 days? No problem. Continue the day on, the next day. So don't worry about the missed day. Maybe like me, maybe you're traveling in a plane and you haven't got the ability to write that day. Or maybe you're traveling, like I was traveling back from the east. It took me 2 days to get home. So what am I going to do for 2 days? I can't write. I haven't got my notepad with me. It's stuck in my suitcase. So no problem. 2 days are gone. I continue on the 3rd. That's the answer. So you continue on the 3rd. So it is a hugely, tremendous, powerful technique. And remember I told you, and I need to get back into the early wake up myself because I got a little bit out of whack. When I traveled, I was waking up early. I used to wake up every day at 4:30, 4:45, every day when I was here. And when I went to Pakistan, I got in the bad habit of, waking up 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, that kind of bad habit. And I now need to take myself out of that bad habit, because I was trying to get up early at 5 o'clock. I was getting up early at 4:45, and the Aisha wouldn't let me get up at 5. Oh, no, sleep, sleep a bit more. And I'm trying to sit up, right? And she's pushing me down to sleep. So I got in a little bit bad habit, and I need to drop that bad habit now and get up on time again. So set your alarm to getting up early, and I know it's going to be hard, and Eddie told me this, that it's hard to get up 5. Let me give you something that I listened to and I thought might help you all. It's called pillow talk. When you go to bed at night, tell your pillow to wake you up at 5 o'clock. Tell your pillow that, wake me up at 5 o'clock, and then you put your alarm on. I have read stories that people who did that automatically wake up at 5. Your subconscious programming is that it allows your subconscious to program you and wake you up at 5 o'clock. Test that out, Eddie. It's something that you want to try out. And I hear that it's had many successes. Many people have succeeded by doing that and waking up early. Why do I say 5 o'clock? Because 5 o'clock is a magical time. Our Torah tells us that if you call on me early, listen, the Torah tells us, it's there. It says, if you call on me early, I will answer you. Meaning what? We're not talking about this mumbo-jumbo prayer as Christians are teaching you. No. Call on me early means if you're imagining 5 o'clock in the morning about your desire, God will answer you. Meaning, God will respond to you quicker. Test it out, my friends. Test it out, because this man is giving it to you free to test it out. And you're going to do this. You're going to do this at 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe not exactly 5. Maybe it's 5:15. But around that time is a magical time to get your prayers, get your affirmations working, and imaginations being answered faster. That, by the way, is an experience that I hear Gentile people talking about and saying that it works for them. So it will work for you as well. Works for them, it will work for you. So definitely try it. Definitely put it to effect. And if you're still struggling, if pillar talk don't work for you, and you're still one of those people who can't get up other than at, say, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, no problem. Then just do it at 8 o'clock. Just repeat the process at 8. There's no harm, no foul if you can't do it at 5. There's no harm, no foul. You can still do it, but do it at a later time. Some of you who work in night shift, you might say, what the heck, Rabbi Simon, Hakohin, I can't do it at 5 because I work. I don't come back from work till 7 o'clock in the morning. Great. If you come back from work 7 o'clock in the morning, come home, sit down, maybe you get refreshment, eat your meal, have a shower or whatever, and then sit down and write it at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock. That's fine as well. It's no problem. Absolutely. 5 and 6 is magical time. In fact, I will go so far as to say this. I used to sometimes, when I was in America before I went to my little excursion, I was getting up sometimes at 4:30. I couldn't sleep. I don't mean I couldn't sleep at night. I would fall asleep at night, even if I went to sleep at 12 or 1, and then boom, at 4:30 I'm up. Sometimes 4:15, boom, I'm up, right? My eyes are open and I can't sleep after that, and I would get up and start doing it. Very first thing you want to do, Eddie, and everybody else, is must meditate first. The top meditation I recommend, if you have it, is a midbrain meditation. Topmost. The best meditation out there is a midbrain. Get the midbrain first. If you don't have the midbrain, if you have the grounding one, do the grounding. If you feel that there's, something in your body that's amiss, like, maybe you're dealing with a disease and illness, then you must do the 7th chakra, because you may need some healing, and the 7 chakras are going to help you with that, because it could be one of your chakra is problematic. Could be 2 are problematic. So when you apply the 7 chakra meditation, it will help you heal. So I have those. If you do not have them, write to me at shimon63@yahoo.com. SHIMOUN, U for umbrella, N for November, 63@yahoo.com. I will be able to send you those free at no cost. If you want those meditations, the chakras, you want the midbrain, or you want the 7 phase. I have a 7 phase longer meditation, which is about 18 minutes. Any of those meditations are great. But what I found from testimony, from Olivia's testimony and a couple of other people privately, is a midbrain meditation is extremely, extremely powerful and has helped a lot of people. So I encourage you to make that part of your daily routine. And then as soon as you've done the morning midbrain meditation, go straight into visualization. Whether you spend 5 minutes, whether you spend 10 minutes, or whether you spend half an hour in visualization. Visualization depends how many things you want. Because for each item, you'll be doing visualization, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Yes, you can do them all in the morning. Yes, Satara, all can be done in the morning. And like I said, the visualization, the method needs to be repeated. Like, let's say that you're visualizing for a car, and I believe that Devora, I think you're in the room. Devora sent me a testimony that she was visualizing, she was praying for a car, and she said that it took her 2 months, and Devora produced a car, manifested a car. Her son basically gave her a nice used car. Now she don't have to go around, in public transport. So Devora, just by the by, and if you don't mind, could you please tell the people here, the family here, that did you do anything other than visualization for this car? Did you write it in the script daily, or 2 weekly, or how did you do it? So people can get a little bit more of that information. So I'll let Devora put that in text form, whether she did just visualization or whether she did both. Okay, Devora said she did affirmations every day. Any visualization, Devora, on that to manifest your car? Okay, so you heard it from Devora herself. She did affirmations every day, and it took her 2 months, and she did visualization, and she took 2 months to produce that car. Now, is that good or bad? I think that's fantastic. So absolutely delighted for you, Devora. Continue with your affirmations. Continue. I know that you're looking for a great husband. Continue down that path and do the pillow talk. Remember that there's also another pillow talk where you're talking to your husband on the pillow, where you're manifesting a husband, or maybe it's a wife, and you're talking to the pillow for a wife. You're making the pillow a wife. You're saying, honey, I love you. Good night. That's another way to do it for the husband. Apart from the ring in your finger, the little band in your finger that you can purchase for $5-10 from Amazon or eBay. So wear a band if you're looking for a husband or a wife, and then talk to your wife or husband at night, kissing them goodbye. This is not literally picking up your pillow and kissing it. You're just saying to your pillow, I love you, honey, and have a good night. Kind of like, this is what you're going to be doing in real life. Okay, so all right, great. So I'm going to stop over here. I think I've given you a lot to think about. And if you have any questions, by all means, after Kefa's lecture, fire them up and I can answer the questions. So I'm going to hand over to Rabbi Kefa. Today for listening. Stay together. Stay with me. And I want you to be accountable to me. And I'm going to make you accountable. Because all of you that are doing your stuff, I'm going to put you to accountability, because we're going to have this mastermind thing going on where I'm going to help you achieve your desires and you're accountable to me. Today for that, Ohio 5 for the blue water bottles. Have a look at the solar water. Great product, easy to do, and get on with that as well. So, stick together, family. Be, committed. We're going to get there. We're going to meet all your desires. Don't worry about, about how it's all going to come together. Baruch Shem Yahweh. I'm very happy for all of you. Okay, over to you, Rabbi Kefa.
Yeah, to RSAHK, forgive me, her, can I get a 1? I think that's very important to understand. The last statement that Akohin made is that we're already there. We just, and don't worry about how you get there. I mean, if you concern yourself with how you get there, and I think it sometimes as well, from what I'm noticing is that you need to see the perfect law as just that. It's the perfect law. The perfect law should not be a burden. I want you all to, Shabbat Shalom, Yishaya. The perfect law should not be a burden to you. If you feel like it, the perfect law and let's just say the actions that's required to do the perfect law, then what you probably need to do is to tone it down a little bit. Like, how many of you have heard the adage, how do you eat the apple? Well, some people say, how do you eat the elephant? How many of you have heard that before? How many of you have heard the question that it's like an adage? They say, how do you eat the apple? One bite at a time, right? How do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time. Not that Rabbi Kefa serving up elephant over here. No, but that's just a saying that they say. I hear it a lot. I hear it a lot in the professional world. They say that. And so when it comes to success, and it comes to you meeting your desires, because that's when you're successful, when you meet your mark, right? You need to take the baby steps. You need to just take one bite at a time, and then you can develop from there. So don't put, what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is don't put too much on your plate that you know you can't handle. If you can't handle it, because you know what that'll do? That'll shut you down. I know some of you are like, man, Rabbi Kefa, I surely need to hear that. You're putting too much on your plate. Maybe you need to lessen your plate to where it's comfortable to you, and the perfect law is not a burden, but it's just like, it's natural. It's your way of life. It's how you live your life. It's like breathing. You understand what I'm saying? How many of you are with me this morning? So if you need to tone it down for yourself, then that's okay. Nobody sitting here is enforcing you to have a list like Hakohen has, because you're not Hakohen. You understand? Or you're not Rabbi Kefa. So, you do what's best for you and what's comfortable for you. And I'm telling you, the gauge is going to be like, okay, oh yeah, this is just normal for me to do. Just like breathing, just like walking. You see, that's what you want. You don't want perfect law like, oh no, I got to do this, I got to script this, I got to, these affirmations and blah, blah, blah. No, you don't want that. Family, believe me, that's not perfect law. What you're subjecting yourself to is a burden and a heavy weight upon you. And perfect law is not that. It's total opposite of that. This perfect law is perfect. You see? But how many of you have been in the law of attraction field? Man, my goodness, you get into the law of attraction field, and believe me, you feel like it could come heavy chains upon you. And you're just like overwhelmed. I hear that a lot these days from teenagers. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like, what the heck? You're just a teenager. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed. Like, my goodness, man, life is beautiful. You talk about being overwhelmed. But you get to the point to where you're like so overwhelmed with things because they throw this at you and that at you and that at you. You're like, man, I mean, what do I do? You do what works for you. And if you notice what our Kohen is teaching us, he's giving us several different options, because the perfect law is so free. And it's so flexible to where you use the options that fit for you. And to God, going for the car analogy. Because what you got to understand within the family, how many of you have families? You have brothers and sisters, cousins and aunts and uncles. Everybody's going to respond to that and say, yeah, Rabbi, I have that. Well, get this. In your family, how many of your family members drive all the same car? Yeah, all your family, you got your brothers, your sisters, you all are driving a Ford Explorer. Everybody's driving a Ford Explorer. How many of you have that? Your mama driving a Ford Explorer, your daddy has one, your sisters and your brothers all have a Ford Explorer. I'm just using Ford Explorers. I'm in Texas. Fords are very popular here. Fords and Chevys. Or you're driving a Chevy. You're not all driving the same cars, right? And that's what you're going to get within our family. Is that one engine may be good for one person, but the next car engine may not be good for the next person. Or one car may be good for one individual, but you're not that car. You don't like that kind of car. That's not, so you get the car that fits for you. Don't see the perfect law as a burden, because it's not. And that's going to be your gauge or your telltale sign that you need to make some individual adjustments with yourself, with subconscious, to where perfect law, you need to retrofit perfect law to where it's perfect for you. How many of you understand what I'm saying? That's what needs to be done at the end of the day. Because you don't need to overwhelm yourself with, oh man, I have this such a long list, and there's just not enough time in the day for me to get and do everything specifically to meet the list purpose. Then lighten your load. Release the burden from it and make it enjoyable. So what you should do is, like Akoin was saying at the end of this lecture, you maybe want to take one or two of the top things that you want, your marks that you want met now. And then just focus on that. And then when those come about, boom, then you have that list to go to, like your go-to list. I'm watching the stock market because everybody, how many of you follow the stock market? Do you see how the market has just dropped? It just like dropped. And I know you are my billionaire, millionaire brother, wherever you want to be. Because you're there, Bukashia. And I hear a lot of commentators, they say this, it's time. These are business-oriented people. They say, it's time for you to pull out your shopping list. Because I'm listening to these hedge fund managers. They're managing millions and billions of dollars of people's money. And they say, well, my clients are just waiting for a pullback for the market to give my opportunity to jump in. And so my clients are telling my clients, and I'm advising them to pull out your shopping list. So when you meet your desires, you meet your marks, then you go to your shopping list. Just like, these hedge fund managers are doing with their clients. Telling their clients and advice, okay, now pull out the shopping list. What do you want to add to it? Now it's time to start buying. What's on the shopping list? Because the market has just dropped. If you don't have Apple, it's like, man. But see, my thing is, is the dropping finished? But, just go look at the Apple stock. For those of you who don't follow stock, just look at Apple. Because I know majority of you probably have an iPhone. Just by kicks and giggles, how many of you in this room, put up capital if you have an iPhone? You need to go look at the Apple stock and see how far it dropped. My goodness. You could just look at the chart. It's just lines, patterns that go up and down. This is a great time and to get in on Apple at this great price, because guess what? Apple is going to go back up. Believe you me. Apple will go back up, and it's going to just keep going. But with everything in life you have, and somehow you can agree with me, you have those ups and the downs. Sometimes you're on top of the mountain, sometimes you're in the valley. So you need to use these times. My coach said, once in a lifetime offer, a $60 discount. My goodness. And you look through the history of Apple, you go back and you scroll through these charts of Apple on the stock market, and you can see it don't have dropping like this very often. And the stock market don't drop this quick, very fast. In the history of the stock market, the last time they said it was the Great Depression, when something happened so quick, so fast, too soon. This is a great opportunity. And I want to encourage all of you, if you're not in the market in any kind of way, to consider that. Because this is where people that are making money and keeping money and making more money and leaving legacies. We say, Rabbi, I don't have a clue about what they do. That's why you call a Kohen. He can give you some advice. He can give you some instruction. Family members emailed me this week about some of the currency markets and the stock. I gave them some advice. Take it and run with it. How many of you in this room right now, you have a mentor or mentors? I see Hakoya as my number one mentor, so I have many mentors. But how many of you have mentors or a mentor? Now, here's what I want to ask you this day. You see, here's what I want to ask you this day. Why do you have this mentor? If you don't mind expressing to me why, you can text them. Why do you have this mentor? If you say you have a mentor, then the question is why? What's the purpose of having this mentor in your life? Somebody tell me. Just give me what you thinking. This is your opinion. Your opinion again. I'm driving a Mercedes. You may want to drive a Lotus. I don't know. But what is your purpose for having this mentor, if you don't mind me asking? Why would you even have a mentor? What's the rationale? What's the end game behind the mentor? And I mentioned this last about this lecture. And it really resonated with me. When you get in those moments, in those times, Eddie says for success, to die, Eddie. Because it helps me, it gives me, he helps me live right. Okay, Bukashir. You see, at the end of the day, for institutions, Brazil, so at the end of the day, you have this mentor because this mentor has what you want, right? Or this mentor, whatever, at the end of the day, this mentor has exactly what you want. He's already done it, and that's key. And sometimes when you get in that valley and you feel like, wow, you know, Hakoy is shooting out these time frames and things are happening and these amount of bit of time. I want you just to do away with time. You need to quit. Time is actually your stumbling block. Because time brings you to a place of depression. Because, or like Hakoy said in his lecture today, he talked about it. He said some of you will get jealous. Do you know if you run with time, it'll make you jealous? Because the time frame doesn't happen the way you want it, yet you see your other family member, they're hitting marks at these times and you're not doing it. So what do? Either you get depressed or you get jealous. All these negative sides of energy that you don't need around you. Or you just give up. You have the quitter's mentality. You just want to give up and give in. So this is why you have those mentors, because you know what they do? They mentors what? They motivate. Because you know, this is the question. I can't talk about this last Shabbat. He's like, well, if your mentor has what you want, and he's a human being or she's a human being, then why can't I have it? That's the question. You need to ask yourself, and then you need to follow up with this. I can have it. If this individual who's a human being, just like you and I, has it, then why can't I have it? And the question is, you can have it. And you can have it now. Are you with me, Mishpahah? That's so very important. So if you don't have a mentor, you need to have a mentor. You need to have something to look up to. You need to have physical evidence on the ground of other people doing it, because that'll prove to you, and to your mind is trying to play all these tricks on you, and to your logic is just trying to eat you up and say, look, if this person can have it, then I can have it too. There is no reason under God's green earth why I can't have it too. There is no excuse. Because somebody already has it. I'm going to be a billionaire because I see billionaires. And I read their books. And I see if a billionaire can do it, I can be a billionaire too. If there's a billionaire on this earth, then I can be a billionaire. If there's a millionaire on this earth, then I can be a millionaire. If there's a six-figure income maker on the face of this earth, then I am a six-figure income maker. Are you with me, Mishpahah? This is why mentors are so important. Because all you have to do, another reason, is because you just have to look at their pattern and just follow it. You don't have to create the wheel or recreate the wheel. The wheel's already spinning. Are you with me this day, Mishpahah? This is so very important. So don't ever give up. And you may get in those times where you don't feel like. But always remember in your mind, yes, you can. Yes, you are now. Yes, you can now. And yes, you will now. And it can be right now. You just have to aspire and desire to want it more than anything. This is why you might need to lighten your load and focus on that thing, that number one thing that you want, that mark that you just want right now. Shabbat shalom to you, luxury class. That you want right now. And don't burden yourself with all these other things that are going to come on your shopping list. Because they're going to come. And you're going to be able to add those things to the shopping list when the opportunity is right. When the moment is right. And you're the only person that's going to know when it's right, because it'll be comfortable for you. Because the perfect law is not a burden. It's not a heavy weight. The perfect law is light. The Master says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Did he not say that in our history? In Baruch Hashem, that's recorded. Come on, man. Light yoke. Come on now. So why are we carrying this, or having this heavy burden, this heavy weight, like it feels like upon us? It shouldn't be, family. Should not be. And if you have that thought process and you see that materialize on the physical side of this world, then you need to make adjustments. And only you know what adjustments you need. And only you know you're at the point where you need to make adjustments. I can't tell you that. But you don't have a physical presentation and manifestation of like, oh, well, Well, my question would be, well, how do you feel? And do you see what our coin was teaching us is that, okay, you can't get up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. That's okay. Whenever you get up, whenever you get in, then you do it. The flexibility. Don't let logic say, oh, if I can't do it at the same time, Rabbi Kefa and Kohen can do it. If I can't do it at the same time that, Eddies can do it, then it's not going to work. You see, that's logic eating away at you and truly being a stumbling block in your way. Or you let Father Time get you. Oh, I've been doing it and I haven't seen none yet. Then you keep doing it. Because it's not time to manifest itself yet. So you just keep doing it. And you do away with time. Because time will run you into jealousy. Time will run you into depression. Time will run you into that quitter's attitude. Well, it didn't happen, so it's not going to happen. Logic and time set in and they do a tag team match on you. And you're in a battle royal. Like you use some wrestling phrases. With WWF, you're in that battle royal. You got Father Time in there, and then you have Logic in there, and then you in there as a super Hebrew with the H on your little wrestling uniform. And you want to be the last man standing or the last woman standing. So you got to beat them up. Best way to beat them up is to release them. Let them go. Don't try to hold on to Father Time. And definitely don't hold on to Logic. You got to let them go. And you got to begin, just like Kohen said, my goodness, great revelation on the closet. Because I literally did exactly what the New Testament told. I went into my closet. But the Master, in all of his compassion and love, he honored me where I was. Because I went in my closet. Just like I said, go to your closet, close the door. That's just what I did. That's just what I did. And I got the words that changed my life. That one statement that changed my will is my word. My will is my word. I was like, okay. And put me on the path. But again, everything wasn't handed to me. And it didn't happen overnight. It took time and time and time to develop. And I got to use time there to equate things. But it developed over a period. And so, and same way with the manifestation. They're going to come in over a period. And so what the period is, at the end of the day, they were met, period. You get where I'm going? And that's so important. And it's because I listened to the tutelage of my mentor. And Kohen, among several other mentors that I do have. Kohen being mentor number one. And for all of us family, it's got to be the Kohanim. Because let's just look at it from this point of view. When we look at this parsha, Shimul, how does this parsha relate to you? I'm sorry, when we look at this parsha, Terumah, and Shimul in Exodus chapter 25, starting at verse 1, how does this parsha relate to you? When you look at this parsha, what relevance does it have for you today? Come on, think about it for a minute. I'm going to talk about the basic only relevance that it does have for us when we talk about Terumah. It's about freely giving. That's about it. Everything else, lottie-dottie, pertains to the Levites. Let's face it. The Levites are in control. And then the priesthood in control on top of that. Because Moses was a Levite, high priest as well. But at the end of the day, you look at it and all the relevance when you look and you read at the black and white in Terumah parsha, it's dealing with the Levites. It's dealing with the Kohanim and their role that they have to play. So what's our role behind the scenes? It's just what Kohen talked about during this lecture. The fuel, the energy to participate. How many of you have been given a lot by the Master? You've been given a lot. And so now the Master said, okay, I gave to you, now you give back. Now you give back. How are you going to give back? So when we go through and we follow our history, the pattern that's going on in our history right now, I tell you what, if you put the children of Israel on a graph, like we have our graphs for the market, in the stock market, I tell you, the children of Israel's history would be the same way. If you look at us on the daily, on the weekly, on the monthly, it'll be ups and downs, 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 same thing. But we're at this point in history to where we've been released, we've been freed from bondage by the mighty right hand of the Master. And now we're being guided in a cloud by day, fire by night. And then what's the next step? Okay, now we must deal with our house. The importance of a house, the house pattern. Y'all with me, Ms. Bahar? Because this one becomes relevant to you and I. All that other stuff, we leave it to the Levites and the Kohanim. We leave that stuff, that's for them. You see, all the precise instructions and directions on how the God of Israel wanted to deal with that. But then it becomes more relevant to us as well. You see? Because there's a backside to it. Because we too, as the family of Israel, must follow the same pattern. And this is where we are right now. We're right now in house building mode. And I don't know how many of you would agree with me that for the last couple of years, it's been a couple of years, we've been in the house stage. How many of you are with me on that? I'm telling you, this is where we are. So this is the house pattern, because our history is a pattern. And we must follow that pattern. And our patterns don't change. Somebody in here is manifesting a husband. Guess what? She realizes that she's right now in house pattern. That's her design. Because she can't have a house with just a woman in it. We've been in this pattern for a couple of years now. Mind you. And that's where I think we'll continue to be. I remember him by telling me this maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Is that now you must, and I go in as well, now you must put your house in order. Now it's time to fix your house. We're in house pattern mode, Mr. Paul, right now. That's the patterns that we're in. If somebody would come to me and say, well, what pattern? I'm waiting for the Messiah to come back and return, for the Master to come in all his glory and take us back to Israel. That can't happen. That can't happen right now. Why? It's because first we must fix our house. We must get our house in order. Shabbat shalom to you. And welcome. Sherman, to the room. You're more than welcome. The doors are open here. Just like our forefather Abraham always had the doors open for all. You're welcome. Stay put if you like. So that's where we are right now. We're in house pattern mode. How many of you in this room would agree with me? And not only now, but we've been in this mode for a couple of years. 5, 6, 7, even 10 years. We've been in this mode of house establishment. Not just any house, but we're talking about God's people's house. Your house, my house. Because right now, if you go to Israel, you'll see, you go to Jerusalem, we don't have a standing house, do we? But yes, we do. We have standing houses all over the world, because wherever God's people are, that's where God's people is. Baruch Hashem. So we've been dispersed and scattered to the four corners of the earth, mixed and mingled with all these different cultures and all these, different continents, correct? You all are witness to it. Baruch Hashem. We've been mixed and mingled with all these different ethnicities. Think about it. So you just can't look at a person by his color or by the texture of his hair and say, oh, you're Israel. It doesn't work that way. So for those people who want to try to hoodwink and bamboozle you and say, oh, you can't be Israel because you're brown, because you're yellow, or because you're black like coal, like Wesley Snipes. No, it doesn't work that way. Or because you're Caucasian white, you can't be Israel. Oh, it doesn't work that way. It's because we have been told in our books, the Bible tells us that The children of Israel were mixed into the nations. What does that mean? That we blended with all kinds. That's why I don't understand why these people have such a big issue with this discrimination. There's no such thing. At the end of the day, especially if you're in America, you're an immigrant. Unless you're 100% Native American, you're an immigrant. At the end of the day, listen, come on, man. And we've been mixed and mingled with every and believe me, there's a great blessing behind all that, and tell you great compassion and love from the Creator for doing that. So it's very, very important. We're at a pivotal time in this age to where you must get your house in order. You must realize that we're in a house pattern. You see what I mean? It's very important. Very, very important. Very, very important. We cannot go back to Israel with a messed up house. You have to have house establishment. The Master is big on family. How many of you understand that? He took a family and made it his own. The God of Israel took a family and made it his own at the end of the day. He took the family of Jacob and made them his own. Isn't that beautiful? That's so beautiful. So do you not think family is important to the God of Israel, to the Creator, source energy, source power, presence? Do you think family is not important? It's totally important. And my desire is that on all of your affirmations, it better be something relating to family on there in your relations side of your affirmations. Establishing your family is so very important. So very important. We don't run our families like most people run our families. We have a particular way our families are run. And that's the beauty of it. I'm not knocking what the Gentiles are out here doing, because I'm a stranger in their land. So what they're doing should be strange to me, because I'm a stranger. I'm a sojourner. I'm passing through, but while I pass through, I'm going to help benefit this place that I've been dispersed in. I'm gonna do everything positive and do everything to be a blessing to the place that I am and to be a light to where I am. I'm not here to be a protester. I'm not here to discriminate and to be angry birds running around here. That's not my nature. That's not my remit. That's not what I'm here to do. But first and foremost, I'm here to establish my family. And for me personally, in my testimony, it has taken many, many years. But I don't count it as years. Because now that my family's before my eyes, years don't mean anything to me when you live forever. Pukashir? What does years mean? When you live forever. Israel, you're forever. Do you understand that, family? You are forever. So, that stumbling block that Father Time want to give you, you need to throw it away, you see. You need to throw it away. You need to disown Father Time. Because Father Time is not being your friend. And for some, you have phoned into us and you said, well, Rabbi, why did the Master take so long to call me out? That's the wrong question from the jump street. See, that's showing me that you still have embraced Father Time. Well, why did it take so? You're embracing Father Time. I'm giving you examples of the study of human nature to be able to tell you how you're still connected. You and Father Time are still, bosom buddies, and you shouldn't be. You with me this day, Mishvah? Please stay with me. Because it's so very important that we don't miss the pattern of the house. The importance of a house and the pattern of a house. If the Creator, the Maui would say, he took his people out of Egypt, now he's guiding and leading them in the desert, what's the first thing that he said? Okay, I want, and this is the words out of our Torah, she moved in Exodus chapter 25, verse 8, let them make me a holy place that I may dwell among them. I may dwell among them. Notice that the master didn't say that I may dwell in the house that you're going to make for me. No, that I may dwell among them. The dwelling, the most important thing that we can concern ourselves with right now at this very moment is our dwelling, our home. And what encapsulates within that home is what? What we call a family. A mother, a father, children, 3.5 children if you include the dog or the bird or the cat. Whatever and let's not discriminate against the plants, because I love plants. I have a beautiful garden. My wife, all winter we was growing. I go in, get this. All winter I go in, we're growing vegetables in the garden. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Beautiful garden, so I give thanks for our plants. People, pets, and plants. Give thanks. Still, bro, I give thanks to Mother Earth. And what our Queen is telling you and giving you advice on the medical side, Mother Earth, the Master put everything on this earth to heal us and cure us. And I find it kind of laughable that China has an ancient history, as Hakohi is a Chinese medicine physician. Has an ancient, you'll be able to agree with me, you'll find it's kind of laughable, is that Chinese medicine goes back thousands and thousands of years for cures. Yet America's dependent, Big Pharma, majority of Big Pharma pills are made in China. Did you know that? And yet China's mass producing all of these pills that America depends upon. How many of you knew that the majority of your Big Pharma pills that you take it right now are made in China? Believe it or not, it's true. So I find it kind of laughable that China has this ancient history of healing. It goes back thousands and thousands of years, yet at the same time, they're distributing all these, these just nasty pills that are just causing more problem, more harm than good. Solve one problem and get 10 more. I just find that kind of ironic and laughable. But that's what's going down. Because now Big Pharma's seeing that, you see, China's kind of shutting down. They got borders to everybody now. If you don't believe me, I want you right now to go to Amazon and try to order some face masks to cover your face. Try to order some medical face masks. And I just want you to look at the price. Don't order because we don't buy them, Shabbat. But just look at these outlandish prices that they charge for face. You're like, well, why have the prices? And believe me, I use these face masks all the time as a pediatric nurse. And I've never seen these prices. Somebody do it and be a watcher and a witness and just text in, yeah, Rabbi, you're right. The prices that they're trying to charge for these face masks are crazy. And you're wondering, well, why did the price go up so high for medical face masks? Let me tell you why. Because majority of the prices of the majority of these face masks are made in China. But now China's closing its borders. And so they're using these masks for their people. Or the factories are closed because the people are on quarantine in China, so they can't get to the factories to make them. You see? Akoi said, I ordered a product in China, and I got my refund. The man said, sorry, we are not processing orders. That was on eBay. Because Akoi, majority of the people are on quarantine in China, so the factories are still closed. Now, you know what they're doing now? Right now. The companies are bribing people with money to tell them, look, if you come back to work, we're going to give you these bonuses. How many of you know this? We're going to give you these bonuses so that you can, they can keep their businesses going. Because the factories are closed and people are afraid to go back to work. So the incentive is money. They throw in money there, you come back to work, we're going to give you this money. You come on back to work. We need people to work, you see. And he's saying 50s, 100s, and 200s for cheap paper, for cheap paper mask bundles. Indeed, Yetis. Indeed, on Amazon. Indeed. Do you see what they're doing? These masks used to be $20 and $30, and you can get like 60 to 100 and 200 of them for $20. Now look at these prices. Why? It's because of that. Now, again, we're all entrepreneurs and business people. And I'm going to tell you what. You want to start a business? Start making these face masks in America. Start making these face masks in America. See, there's a blessing behind everything that happens in life. I want you all to understand it. Most people don't dig for the blessing. They just see what's on face value. They look at the surface. And the surface is doom and gloom. But do you know there's going to be so much opportunity, and there is so much opportunity coming out of this disaster, but people don't see that. There are going to be many businesses that are started here in America behind what's going, because Americans realize, hey, we got to take care of our own. Just like China. I'm not knocking China. Hey, look, China said, look, we got to take care of our own. These masks that we reserve for other countries are reserved for our people. That's what they're doing. So everything's being internalized. They're closing their borders up. Say, hey, man, we got to protect our own. You see? I'm going to send masks to America when my people here in China need masks. So again, that's what's going on. That's what we see here. So there are going to be many business opportunities. Somebody wants to start a business making face masks in America, so be it, amongst other things. Now, big pharma say, look, we got to diversify where we put our companies. We can't put all our eggs in one basket. Because everybody in the business world sees China as, what was the word I heard one guy say, market analyst, he was talking about this. He said, China is the manufacturer for the world. China is like, he gave it a cool name. He's like, China, I like the way he made a statement. I can't remember off the top how he put it. But he's basically saying, China is the home, is the maker for the world. They make everything. And so now businesses are starting to realize, okay, now we got to diversify. So people are going to Vietnam. Businesses, other companies going to Vietnam, other places, South America. Now they're looking at really centralizing things and keeping things at home. But great lesson to learn behind this as well is diversify. Diversify. For some of you with your affirmations, you know, I would encourage you to diversify. For some of you, you focus just on one goal. Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify. And that will improve your ability to be successful. How many of you would agree with me? Have other, okay, say like you have this main business, this thought that, okay, well, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Well, I would encourage you, and you know what? Take a lesson from the Kohen. Good night to you, Shervan. And, yeah, you're more than welcome to come back to this room. Save it and come back. Make it a favorite. Come back anytime. But listen, take a lesson, not from so much the words that Kohen says, but let's look at his actions on the ground. Is Kohen just a Kohen? Didn't he just, he almost gave me his CV. He was telling you about things on his CV. Position. Engineer. What else he delves into? Finance and investment. Do you see what I mean? Diversification. Family. That's in our DNA to diversify. I want you all to understand that. You must diversify. So that way, if one business is kind of in a slow point, other businesses can pick up. How many of you are with me? I want you all to understand that because it's all interconnected to the universe is this way. Realizing that science has that there's more than one universe. There's universes out there. There's universes, not just one. So we need to understand these things, family. In the house building pattern is that we must be at this point right now to where we're building houses. Now, when we go back to our parsha here, Terumah, we look at our parsha, Terumah, and we say this. Who was in charge of arranging God's house? That's the question for you out there. When we look at our Torah, who was put in charge of organizing God's house? Anybody still with me? Stay with me now. Who was in charge? Not Lindsay Lohan, deal, y'all. And I think you make Kohen. But no, who specifically was in charge? It was Moses, right? he was in charge. I know that was just a typo, Adelia. I know Lohan, Lindsay Lohan, which one? I'm just let jokey joke. Yeah, but who was in charge? Who was in charge? Moses was in charge. Now I want you all to get this. Stay with me. Imagine this. Moses is in charge of establishing God's house on this earth. Let's say that 3 times. Moses was in charge of establishing God's house on this earth. Moses was in charge of establishing God's house on this earth. Moses was in charge of establishing God's house on this earth. Now, you imagine it, you see it, you said it. Who's in charge of establishing your house? Think about this for a minute. Now we gotta look at house patterns. Who should be in charge of establishing your house? And I'm gonna tell you, that was the best decision and action I ever took, was when I put Hakohen in charge of establishing my house. I tried to establish my own house, believe me, crash and burn, several times. How many of you are with me? How many of you are witnessing or watching to the statement that I just made? I tried to establish my house on my own, and it was crash and burn. Several, not one time, several experiences of crash and burn. But when I put my trust in the Kohen, not only my trust, but 110% of my energy behind what Kohen told me I needed to do, which matched up with what I wanted to do, by the way. While Kohen was only telling me the desires that I always wanted, that was always in, but I didn't know how to get there. I was trying. God knows I was trying. In the way I thought I could see things, but it never worked out. And it didn't work out because of lack of not trying. You see what I mean? And let's get past trying. I was putting things into action. I wasn't just trying because I don't like to use that word try. I'm not a big tryer. You just do or you don't, right? So I did a lot. I did. It just didn't work. It didn't work. So it wasn't because of lack of not doing. It's just that I wasn't doing right. How many of you are with me? Do you get where we're going here? There's a difference between doing and doing right. Doing right that's going to benefit you and be beneficial for you. Those of you listening via YouTube or whatever other avenue that we get this out there in the social media, this is key. Key is that you have to do, and you have to do right. It's not just doing. We spend our whole lives doing. How's that been turning out for you? But we have to do what's right. So where do we go to do what's right? When we look at establishing God's house and God's house, we got to look at who was in charge. The pattern that God uses. Whose pattern is best? God's pattern or my pattern? Whose pattern is best? God's pattern or your pattern? What do you think? The God of Israel. Whose pattern is best? Because I tried God's pattern with the Christians and with the Catholics. It didn't work out too well for me. And the non-denominational churches, that didn't work out well for me at all. At the end of the day, we got to be realists because we are real. We live in a real world. So you got to do a reality check and say, okay, what's the evidence on the ground with the action that I've been taking? Look, that's the formula. Write it down. I'm telling you. What's the evidence on the ground with the action I've been taking? So action plus evidence equals what? And if you're not pleased with the equals what, then you need to go back and do some changes. How many of you are with me? Then you need to go back and do some readjustment. You see? Some things are going to need to be readjusted. You're going to need to change something. Law of attraction is big on that, and that's a good rule that they have. That's a good bullet point that they have. Is to be able and have the ability to accept change. You have to be able to accept change and be willing to change. Some of you right now, you may see perfect law as a struggle. Or you may see perfect law as not coming into fruition because you and Father Time are best buddies. Should be that way. So there's some things that you're going to have to change. I'm not calling people out, but I will say this. And I'm just going to put it out there. How many of you in this room haven't manifested diddly squeaks, nothing? You haven't manifested anything yet. And don't put up in, don't do that, because I'm not trying to shame you. But I want to talk to you, family. Then if you're not manifest, then you need to change something. Then you need to get with the Kohen, or, you can get with me as well. Shoot me an email. We can talk over the phone. And we can arrange things that meets your criteria for what kind of car you're driving or what kind of car you are. See yourself as a car right now. Everybody, family, I want everybody in the room, family, see yourself as a car. Now, my question to you is, what kind of car are you? I want you to text it in. If you see yourself as a car, what kind of car are you right now? Responses would be welcome. What kind of car are you right now? If you see yourself as a car, what kind of car are you? Atara says, I'm a Chevy, baby. Chevy. She didn't add the baby, and I just threw that in there. Adia says an SUV. Luxury class says a BMW 325i. I like that. This is Timothy. I like that. Akoi says sports Mercedes. I figured that, Akoi. Brother from the same mother. I'm Mercedes all the way, but I'm more C-class, E-class Mercedes. That's me right there. Luxury class is silver. See, luxury class is just, he's nailing it down. He's bullseye it. That's important. Bullseye it. Yaya 110 says Tesla Roadster. Bullseye it, baby. Red. There you go. Bullseye it. We want to get dead center mass. Yahoo says G-class Mercedes. That's right. I had to say when I was coming up. Is that Mercedes is for the ladies. Hey, you can take it and use it if you like, but that's always my saying. Mercedes is for the ladies, baby. Okay, Alpha says Corvette. I guess that's a C8. My goodness, I haven't seen that one to Google that one. So again, if you're different kind of cars, but again, that's what makes us unique. So we can come, some cars are faster than others, am I correct? These cars y'all named off, and some are faster than others, while others save gas, and others burn more gas than others. Some are more efficient, and some are more gas guzzlers. Adia said, I'm an SUV. So we know that's a gas guzzler. But again, we all have our different likes, and we all are different. This is so very important to understand. So when we come to the approach of the perfect law, we come with our own, our differences. Perfect law being universal and so flexible and so free, Baruch Hashem, you can make adjustments. But we need to understand, and we need to move logic out the way, quit being bosom buddies with logic. They said, well, if I don't do perfect law this way, then it won't work. No. As you see what I'm going now, we're even doing more testings and testings on the perfect law. And believe me, isn't life about tests? How many believe you must understand it, so we must continue to test. Test and test. What works, keep doing more of that. What doesn't work, then don't push on and move on from there. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to teach my daughter about this. My daughter came to me the other day. She was like, hey Dad, what if my crush doesn't like me? She told me this last night. Hey, Dad, what if my crush doesn't like me? I said, okay, move on to dump the crush and we'll find another crush. But I said, you gotta move on. It's important to move on. Life is not about staying put. You gotta move on. Find another crush. There'll be many crushes. That's the terminology you use, crush. The same way I would tell and instruct you all as well, family, is if something is not working a particular way for you, and it could be Father Time. Well, Rabbi, I'm just not an early person, right, Eddie? And you realize that. That's just not you, Eddie's. Eddie's is not an early person. Then you make the adjustment, and you move on. And you test, and you see what works to where you're comfortable. Hakoin says he's a sports Mercedes. So Hakoin not going to be comfortable getting in a Delia's SUV. He said, well, take this SUV, but no, Hakoin is a sports Mercedes. That's what he is. I'm Judah, so I need that bigger Mercedes for all the children. That's Judah. So I need the room. I need the space. Whilst that does fit Hakoin perfectly, because the Kohanim, they were a small clan. They're small clan. So yeah. So the sports car definitely fits, Hakohen. It really does. I'm getting a good laugh about it because it really does fit. But again, it should fit because that's what you desire for yourself. But you see, your desires are going to meet your character and who you are, really, at the end of the day. You'll see that. They all are intertwined. The universe is connected. You just got to connect with the universe. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Yael Warner just says, we can have more than one car. Oh, absolutely. My script has 3 cars sitting up in there. 3. 2 of them are locked down. 1 is still in debate. My wife likes the Land Rover, so there's a black Land Rover sitting next to the Mercedes, and there's still 1 up in the air out there that I'm still question marks about. Still need to go through some more detailed instruction on what I want. So do you see, it's so very important, and I tell you, I see those cars sitting in the driveway just like I see you. I see it, I imagine it, and it's real. It's so real, and it's gonna happen. It's happening. You got to call it in, and Father Time is not going to discourage me. And Cousin Logic, I kicked him out the house a long time ago. House patterns, Mishpah. House patterns. Who was in charge of arranging God's house? Moses was. So the question is, who are you going to put in charge of arranging? And you got to put them in complete charge. You got to have them take control and take the reins and be in charge, you see? You must do that. Because when we look at Terumah, how is that relevant to you and I? We have to ask ourselves. Well, we look at the pattern. How many of you in this house, how many of you in this room understand that you need to establish a home? And not just a home that you were raised in, but you need to establish, we're in different times now, Mishpah. You're Israel and you have awakened. You're awake now. You're woke. So your house that you were brought up in, you cannot imagine the same kind of house for yourself. It's a total different environment now. Total new day. It's a new day, right? New time. New time. You're a different person. You have totally done a paradigm shift, as we all have. I'm right with you. My home is nothing like the home that I was raised in. And I say that in a respectful way. Not to disrespect my mother or my father. But my home was totally different than that. Totally different than that, Mishpah. And I say that in a respectful way. In not a high and haughty, but in a humble way as well. So, when we look at things that we should have in our home, this is why I tell you, I give all thanks and praise to Hakohen, because this work with the plates, our Abrahamic-Faith set-apart plates, this is all Hakohen's work. This is all Hakohen's work that he just passed. I see it like Moses. Moses passed on everything to who? His servant, Yahushua, however you want to pronounce his name. Hakohen's doing the same. He just passed this on to me to handle it and to do it. And he allowed me to be a participant. Just like Moses, he allowed the family to participate in the house building of the God of Israel. How many of you are with me on this? You must allow, and I tell you, whatever you do, family, don't ever forsake the Kohen in your gate. Stick close to him like glue. Do whatever you can that's within your power, your energy, to see to it that he's not forsaken. I'll tell you that. Because when you do that, the world is literally your oyster. The world is literally your bucket of chicken. Whatever you desire. Or, the world is your fish fry. I love you for fish. So you must consider that. Rabbi Zakar, you've been doing some good fishing lately. So you must consider that. is truly take this in consideration when you look at your house pattern, is that you cannot build your house properly without the Kohen. Moses is not here, but his descendants is here. Aaron is not here, but his descendants is here. That family line is here with us today through. And our Kohen has been such a blessing to me. I'm going to write a book one day. My life is blessed on top of blessing and blessing and blessing. And he's such a giver. He gives. You want to talk about Terumah? He gives. Man, he's such a giver. He gives back and he gives back. And the master just keeps giving him more. I see the pattern. I see it. And I'm so grateful and happy to be and humbled to be so connected to the Kohen in such a way. The Kohen mentioned something to me the other day. I sat down and I thought about the other day how, we've done a lot of traveling together as well. We've done a lot of physical traveling together, and we've done some things together. We're real close, in other words. We're real close. And we've been through a lot together. A lot. Ups and downs, good and bad. But what stayed constant with us, and what I saw stay constant with, is that Torah. That's him. He's like the walking Torah. And I'm telling you, if you don't go to him for instruction, your house pattern is I tell you, the Master Yeshua talked about foundation building. You don't want to build your house on shaky ground, sandy ground. You want to build it solid. And that's what you're going to get from the sons of Aaron. Because if the God of Israel saw fit to use them as the supervisors, as the overseers of his house, what should that say about you and I? Who should we be going to facilitate our homes? How many of you are in home pattern mode right now? Put up a capital H. You say, Rabbi, I'm in that pattern right now where I'm establishing my home. Not the way my fathers established my home, but I'm establishing my home under the Torah standard, under the Hebrew standard of my ancestors. And I'm establishing that home right now. How many of you in that mode right now? You say, Rabbi, that's me. Put up a capital H. You say, Rabbi, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm in that mode. I'm in that mode of home building. I'm building my home, and I want to pattern my home after our forefathers, not after the nations that I've been put in. To top of your responses, by the way. This is important stuff. All these should be putting up H's because, if you're not in the home right now, where are you? Are you not trying to establish? Then where are you? This is a very pivotal point in this age where we're in right now. The establishment of our homes. This is crucial. You don't want to mess this up. This is a mark that you have to make, is to establish yourselves in your house. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I hear Christians say that all the time. But not just me, but my house. Are you with me? It's not a selfish thing, it's the house. It's not just about me. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We're in that phase. And what I can see is we're going to be in that phase for a while. Housewarming phase is not one you can just run over. Oh, okay, yep, we're done with that phase. Now on to the next phase. No, you gotta root your house. You gotta lay that foundation and let it dry. And let it just dry. So it's gonna take a minute. But since we don't embrace Father Time, it doesn't matter, does it? But I will tell you this, you are all in this crucial stage. So when we look at what do we need to retrofit our homes with, that's where those plates come in. And here, this is why I can talk about the plates. Great segue. I can go right into those plates and tell you about the plates, Bukashim. Now, these plates are made in Pakistan, as you all know. Now, I will say this. I think this batch that I got from our Kohen, he put these in his luggage and brought them back with him himself. Baruch Hashem, I give thanks for that, because he didn't have to do that. But he does. See, again, he does these things as action. So these plates that we have here, some of them are gold-plated or the copper-plated ones, the gold-plated ones. They're going to be discontinued. Once we get this inventory sold, that's going to be it. So when I send out these order forms, they're going to have gold, and some of them will just have only the silver. Silver meaning the stainless steel, because it's silver. They're going to be silver. So going forward, after we get rid of this inventory with the copper-plated ones, the gold ones, it's going to all be silver, or should I say stainless steel? Because just like I quote said, and it's true, they're beautiful, is that the silver ones, the stainless steel ones show up so much better. The wording it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. So when you get these order forms, now here's how it's going to go. You're going to send me an email to keepupinyah@yahoo.com. When I receive your email, I'm going to send you an order form. And it's going to list all of the plates that we have, the set apart plates, and the prices, the dimensions of them, so you can get an idea. And then we'll go from there. Hakui, we may want to look at making some smaller, like, for our mezuzahs on our doors, like little smaller ones, like the 4-inch, because we got some of the, like you did the 42 names, we need to probably give like a 4-inch by 5-inch size, so we can, if we can, fit that all on the 10 Commandments, because that way they can put them better on their doors and on their gates, and that way it'll be better. It'll be a better fit, because it may not have enough room because they're so big. Yeah, they're so big. Might be a bit tight, huh? Yeah, I was looking at that, because they're so big, they may not be able to go on their doorposts very well, with all the different doors. Most American homes have 3 to 4 entries, into their in and out from inside to outside of their home. But so you'll send in, they can put them inside. Okay, they can put them inside the door too. And then sometimes the way they build these houses, once you have the framing of the door, then a wall is right there. So it's kind of, yeah. So we'll work our way through that. But once I receive your email, I'm going to send you an email with an order form. You email me back with what you want to order. If we run out of inventory, no worries. You just may have to wait a while, because again, they're coming and they're made in Pakistan and they have to be shipped from Pakistan to America. So just hold fire. The most important thing is to place your order. And then when I place the order to Pakistan, it could be pretty much spot on and precise, exactly what people want. And we can kind of gauge and get an idea exactly what people want. The family's getting first dibs, but we're going to open this up to everybody. Lottie-dottie, everybody in the nation, if they want to get them for their home, it can bring great blessing to them as well. Because how many of you know, world over, the Gentiles have been using our books to receive blessings, and they have been receiving them. How many of you understand that? They might not be doing everything right, keeping our, permissible food laws and everything, but they pick up some of the perfect law and they run with it. How many of you understand that? I know millionaire and billionaire folks that have picked up on some of the principles of the perfect law, and that's why they're successful. So understand that as well. So we can open this up to everybody to where they can get them as well. But limited edition will be those gold-plated ones. So it's going to be on a first-come, first-served basis. And once the gold-plated ones are gone, they're gone. Then after that, it's only going to be stainless steel throughout. So if you want the order form, you have to send me an email. Or, if you don't do the email thing, you can phone me. My number's on our website. You can phone me, area code 210-827-3907, and I can snail mail you the order form as well. It can go both ways. Because some folks, they're just not with the technology thing, and I get that, So we're accommodating to all. So our doors are open to all in that aspect. But again, just like I instructed you, it's a must that you get those 10 Commandments. I'm telling you, you got to have those 10 Commandments. First century prayer, the prayer of the blessing of the home, great, must have. 72 names. Oh my goodness, that's a must. These are things, this is how you fit your home. Opposed to when I was coming up, I didn't have these things in my house. How many of you? Anybody else? Anybody in this room besides me didn't have these things in their house, or did? How many of you did have 72 names of God in your house? How many of you did have the 10 Commandments? Well, I take that back. Well, when I was living with my grandmother, we did have the 10 Commandments up. She had the 10 Commandments up right next to white Jesus. That's real. 10 Commandments, white Jesus, right next to each other. But in Hebrew, no. In our native tongue, our ancient language, no, they didn't have that. But they were in English. So I think, I'm telling you, these things are vital for your home. A necessity. A necessity. You see what I'm saying? Will the wording be readable if they're smaller? How long will it take for the second order to come? Well, again, don't. Father Time, you got to delete Father Time. When they come, they come. When we get them, we will get them. That's just how it's going to go down. Because I really don't know, because I haven't received the first order yet. And again, in him making them, so there can be all kinds of little, delays that can come up on, whatever side. But again, you place your order, you're going to get them. We just don't know when. So I don't want to nail it down a time and it didn't happen during that time frame that you were anticipating and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But you place your order and it will come. But I want all of you to know that these are coming from Pakistan. You see, Abu said my grandmother had the 10 Commandments along with black and white Jesus. Oh my goodness. Grandma had to cover all the way around. Baruch Hashem, Grandma. Your praise for your steadfastness. Baruch Hashem. Covering all bases. The wording are legible and readable. Absolutely. Especially with the stainless steel ones. My goodness, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, Mishpahah. So beautiful. These guys in Pakistan, they did great work. I'm telling you, that machine that they have, they did some great work. Great work. I tell you, the cutting of these plates, they're very sharp. So be careful with that as well. They're very, very sharp. So you kind of want to watch out for that and guard against they're very, very sharp. I'm just telling you firsthand. They're sharp. They cut, fine cut. I tell you, job well done. I can see the love and the compassion that was put into these plates was truly well done. So the order form is what you need now. You get that order form in your hand. It has the price list on there, the quantity, how many you want. Just get the order form back to me, and then I'll put you on the roster. And the supply that we have now, we'll go through that, and then what doesn't get filled with this order of inventory that we have now will get filled with the next one. That's how it's going to be. So shall it be. So that's what the place. So these things are necessities that you need in your home. Necessities. These are necessities, must-haves, to show your set apartness. Not just in word, but in deed, which is more important. In your deeds and in your actions on the ground. This is vital and so important. So consider these things going forward, Mishpah. Look at the house pattern. Don't get caught up on the curtains did this and da-da-da in the tabernacle. Because, that's not our remit. That's not where we're at. God wants to dwell among us, not in the tabernacle. That's why we don't have a standing one now, a temple now. Because he's dwelling among us now. But we need to facilitate the dwelling. And the Kohen, Moses, our likeness of the Moses, is giving us the tools to facilitate the dwelling of the God of Israel among us. Where? In our homes. That's where it's going to be. And that's why the Yehoshua has been saying for years for us to establish our home. I've been hearing that for years. Establish your home, Kefa. Establish your home. Establish your home. Establish your home. Establish your home. But I want to go back to Israel. Well, y'all take us back to Israel now. Yesterday, Master, come back soon and take us back to Jerusalem. Establish your home. Establish your home. I can't be selfish in trying to get back to Israel when I need to follow the pattern of establishing my home. Look at the pattern. The God of Israel took the Israelites, took the Hebrews out of Egypt, put them in the desert to wander, and then said, okay, let's establish our home. I'm going to establish my home, so Of course, everybody underneath me going to establish their home as well. If I'm going to establish my home so I can dwell among them, then we have to establish our homes as well. But we have to retrofit our homes with things that we're getting from the son of Aaron with the instruction and guidance and direction to establish our home. Retrofit our home with those things so we can make our house truly a home. Baruch Hashem. Everybody with me? So again, this is what you need to do. You just need to send in your emails, right? I'm going to send out the order form, and then you get the order form back to me, and then we'll get the ball rolling. So the price does not include, as I said earlier, the price that you see there, and everything is in the paperwork and in the details and in the instructions. And I got them passed through Hakoin. I sent them to him last night. He said everything looks great. So, the shipping, now, you know how many of you guys order, but the basic shipping, I mean, $5 should cover the postage. It should be no issues there. $5 will cover that on top of what you're paying, you're circulating your energy towards these plates. Beautiful, man. Yeah, what a great investment. Great investment. And for those of you who are looking at getting homes, you put in your visualization. You're watching, you know, you see your ring, and you're putting up your mezuzah, your copper plates, or your silver plates on that new house. Man, what a great visualization technique that would be, right? I'm doing that one already. I see myself, and I'm watching, and I see my ring finger, and I'm seeing my ring, and I'm holding it with that ring finger and ring hand, and I'm nailing it in. I got a little hole in there to nail it in. It's beautiful. So I think it's awesome. Hakoin says, Simha, U.S. orders per person can take 15 days minimum. So there you go. There you have it right there for U.S. orders. So again, make sure you give me a proper good address, and we'll go from there. And if there's any questions, you guys, all the information is in the instructions. You guys can always contact me, and believe me, we'll get back with you. We'll make things happen for the family. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up for this Shabbat. But remember, you know, Hakoin is the key to everything that we do, family. I'm telling you, from my personal life, Hakoin is my key. I mean, he's opened up so many doors. So my life is unlimited because of my affiliation and connection to the Kohen. I'm telling you, you all should be the same way because you're family members. Don't underestimate the power of the Kohen. I like to watch Star Wars. They say, don't underestimate the power of the Force, and that's true. Don't underestimate the power of the Force meaning the Kohen. Watch Star Wars. You'll get a lot of perfect law in Star Wars, believe it or not. Particularly, listen to not Yoga. My wife does that. But listen to Yoda. He'll give you a lot of perfect law. You'll get a lot of perfect law understanding. And what he's saying, the force is all around you. It's energy. Your energy. Your money's energy. Your energy. Everything around you is energy. Believe you me. You're not Star Wars buffs. You better get into some Star Wars because you're part of that force. Baruch Hashem. So I give thanks. And if not, I'm going to leave it open for any questions right now that you may have. And turn it over to our Queen. But I think it's very, very important. It depends on what calendar you're following. April 3rd, I don't know what calendar you're on. If you're following Gregory's calendar, if you're following, Hillel calendar, if you're following my ancestor who invented the calendar, Hanak's calendar, Baruch Hashem, it just depends. It depends. It depends on which one you prefer. What do you prefer? What's best for you? What works for you, Baruch Hashem? So, any other questions? We'll leave it open. Can you send order form via email? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'm going to send you the order form via email. When I get your email, I'm going to send you a PDF with the order form. And that's how it's going to go down. Unless you want to be a snail mail, then you have to send me a physical address. I can make that happen as well. We're very flexible. We make things happen. We are the makers, Baruch Hashem. So we give thanks always. I'm going to turn it over to Kohen. Leave it open for any questions, concerns. Let's get it rolling, Mishpachah. And let's get in our house pattern mode and make it happen.
Tada for that, Rabbi Kefa. So the Passover somehow for the Jewish lunar calendar is April 7th, and for the solar calendar, you know that date don't change. That's the same date every year. That's the Enoch calendar. April 3rd is Passover for us every year. Now so coming back to the scripting, my suggestion is that you go to Walmart and you get yourself, at least a couple of good notepads, and they're not going to set you back too much. Maybe they're going to cost you about, $4 or $5 each. You can get this 3 wide ruled notebook. It's got about, I believe, it's got a 5-star against it, and it allows you to put in 3 subjects. In other words, you can use it to write about 3 different manifestations in there, scripting. But I also have one which is 5 wide ruled notebook from Walmart, and that allows you to put 5 different sections, and each section is for one, could be for one script. So get your house in order. Get yourself a couple of these. If you want just 3, get the 3 one. If you want 5, then you can have sections for 5 different scripts. Now, this is where you separate the scripts that you want to write every day versus the one you want to write every 14 days. So, because we are testing it systematically. As you know, I'm an engineer by qualification, software engineer. So I like to test things out to know exactly which works better and which, comes through in the smallest amount of time. So this is why I've already done the 14-day one. As I explained to you, that I have refined that a little bit more. So I will know the next date. So far I've got months on it, 8 months to a complex manifestation, 8 months, which was, of course, getting a house and a car for somebody. So that was 8 months. But maybe for a non-complex manifestation, it may be weeks. I've manifested food within days. So, same day even, I've manifested food. So food doesn't take long. But if you're talking about complex manifestation like a car, a house, $1 million, jackpot win, lottery win, things like that, these are classified as complex manifestations. They require a little bit more due diligence, a little bit more time, but not necessarily, because it's how you apply the method. So I'm testing 3 different methods right now to know which method works the fastest. And give me this year 2020, and I'll be able to tell you by the end of 2020 or maybe earlier which method is the quickest, and then you can just we can just arrange it like that. But for now, you want to get at least 2 of those manuals, notebooks, maybe maybe $3 or $4 each, and one has a 5 subject 200 sheet, and one is a 3 subject 150 sheet. Now that can cover 8 subjects. It could cover your one of those could cover your 14-day scripting, your listing that you do for 14 days. You don't look back. You write it daily for 14 days. Never look back at the previous page, and put it away. Totally release. And the other one could be that you write only daily. You don't give any break, and that could be one pad. Mega, you're welcome here, and yes, this room is not biased about Yeshua being God, not God. We don't really care, to be honest. We worship the God of Israel, period. So whether you believe he's the Messiah or not, irrelevant. We are with the covenants in God, God's holy book, and that's where we are. So having said that, so as I said, also one other thing. That's fine as well, Magfa. I mean, God is God, God is God. Let's just put it this way. So doesn't matter what name you call him. Is only one God. So having said that, we are looking at also the book Paul of Tarsus. That has been re-released today. And thank you, Eddie, for giving me the new cover on that. That's now been approved by Amazon, and it's now live. So we're good to go on that. I had to re-release it because there's still a lot of bad theology out there with Paul, New Testament and all that, and that needed to be cleared for many people who are stuck with Paul, trying to annul the Torah, annul the law, and all that. That Christians love to do. They're more or less Pauline Christians, and they take Paul's words, mistaken words, bad words, miswritten, misapplied, and then they reject the law of God based on that. So I leave you with that, and have a great Shabbat. And until next week, we'll speak again. Put your desires into effect, because we're not here just for random occurrences. We are here, and God has placed us here as a light to the nations, and the light has to be in our home first before we can give it to the nations. So get on with your lives. Bring the desires to fruition, and be happy and be blessed. In the Master Yahweh, take care. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.